And you folks are not first, so you'll sit there for a while then, okay?
Oh, is that up?
No, we're gonna review minutes, we're gonna do solid waste, we're gonna do assessing, then the meeting house, and then the library, other agencies, and then the fire.
I need to go to the library now because I got a ton of work to do.
No, it'll be not that long at all.
It may be a half an hour, Kathy, that's
Oh,
it, maybe.
I still have a lot of work to do.
But I just wanted you to be aware, that's all.
Solid waste and assessing do that.
Yes, Mom.
Okay, so the camera's on. All right, then I would like to officially convene the Budget Committee's meeting, the time being 6:30. It is November 30th, Wednesday. We are currently reviewing some documents that were distributed to us this evening. And hopefully that'll be done in a few minutes and we can start moving on. The order of the meeting, what I'd like to do, because we have a lot to go over, is I'd like to review the minutes and go through that. Review some amendments to solid waste, to the assessing. We've looked at those two accounts already, there's just been some updates. Then we will do the meeting house, the library, which is and then other agencies, which I know we have some representatives here from other agencies to speak to us. And then we'll do fire department, equipment management, building inspector, and health officer.
Emergency management, not equipment.
Oh, emergency management, excuse me, wrong hat. So,
Okay, which set are you going to start with?
all right, are we ready to start with minutes? Okay, let's start with the November 2nd minutes, please.
October 26th.
We had already done those were distributed by mistake. They've already been amended, we had already looked at those. So tonight we will be looking at November 2nd, November 9th, and November 16th.
You get enough?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay?
Madam
So,
Chair?
you need one?
Yes.
No, I'm looking for amendments
We will be, yes.
now.
Yep.
I can turn this the other way, but it's
We're
all-
starting with November 2nd. Is everybody on the same page?
Yes, sir.
November 2nd.
Yep,
Okay.
where it says, under budget review, account number 4195, and the question marks there, I believe that would be Michelle Kendricks.
Yes.
And also her name would probably go up, we're also present. And then under call to order, I have a question mark about, Ms. Jarvis noted the payroll policy rates are outdated and asked town administrator Kim to provide current rates.
I believe that was for the fire department, yeah. I have the same thing to insert the word for the fire department here.
Okay, and then on same page, that last paragraph comes down from the question marks, including question marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He noted they could no longer do the fertilizing, striking as it's and entering because, as it's considered, striking that and putting in because it requires a commercial applicator's license. End of sentence. Striking application.
Okay, before we leave that page, at the top, underneath the presence, Ellen Phillips initially was out due to illness, but she joined the meeting at 7:15, so that should be amended to say that she joined at 7:15.
And also under present, where it says David Bickford, it says selectman, but he should be identified. He is the Board of Selectmen's representative.
You go either way, it's assumed.
Yeah,
Present.
Sometimes you're not even identified as a selectman in some of the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
on the next page, under the motion where it says Mr. Curry made a motion, going to the end of that paragraph, it says Chair Bickford. It should be crossed out and be Mr. Bickford, and then the same thing following after the motion, it's Mr. Bickford.
Also, and not concurred, but disagreed, I think.
Well, I was wondering what we concurred about,
Yeah.
so.
Either disagreed or nothing. It was for the cemetery budget, right?
So do you want that struck, that
Do you want that sentence
chair,
just taken
Mr.
out?
Bickford concurred? Do you want
Well,
that
definitely.
struck?
Well, I
The
think
chair
you
comes
you
out.
concurred because there was a big jump, and then the mowing showed up, right, as the explanation for the big increase.
Well, no, I disagreed with, I voted against it because the mowing, I felt too much was taken out of the budget to take care of mowing and burial.
Okay,
So I disagreed with the budget itself, on
I
that.
got you.
Okay.
So do you want that struck, David?
Strike concurred and to disagree.
Yeah. And the next paragraph under account 4520, second to last line, there was extensive discussion of the mowing and various tasks that should be covered by the highway department position. Under 4153 legal expense, it again says Chair Bickford, the either Selectman Bickford or Mr. Bickford. Then Jen, that's something you need to check through a lot of the minutes.
It's not.
Edit.
Well, before we get too far away, I just wanted to ask a general question on all the notes. Okay? Where, or what is the public record of what the department requested as an amount? Because in the past, I think we have, I may be wrong, but it came to me as I was reading all of these that we had approved an amount, but there's nothing that states what the department requested or the Board of Selectmen approved
Yeah,
in the paragraph of our notes.
right.
So, I mean, 5 years from now, if anybody want to look at these notes, you've got an amount, but you never know
What was asked?
what was asked for, unless, and I don't think we do, attach all the backup information.
And I think that because of the way the minutes have been going, and we actually, the three of us just discussed it earlier, that to some extent that the way it was written, and if you made a change, it only said you made a change. It didn't say where you made that change or how much you made that change for. So even next year, when I go to put this budget in, if I don't remember, I go back to look at the notes. And if I go back to the meeting minutes, I don't see where you put that extra $100 that you added to that budget.
To
So
what line
We
item,
need to
yeah.
talk to Jen the minute, take your phone, did a thing again.
The other Jen.
The other Jen, one of the other Jens, and say, you need to put in exactly where that dollar amount came from if they removed it, or went to if they added it.
So the question I have, should we amend our minutes, some of which have been approved already, to ask that be added, that the amount for the department requested be added? Because I think we do have
It's
it.
hard because we don't necessarily address that amount when we are in a meeting. That amount doesn't necessarily come out when someone doesn't say, well, the department requested 127,000, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't always happen. So I'm thinking the way to kind of get around this situation is our cover face sheet that has department requested, you approved, BOS approved, and TA, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If we make that a public document, once we're done, make that a public record.
To the record.
That only gives you.
Attach it to
This
the
one.
minutes, right, attach it to the minutes, then that will be a public record.
Well, it's all public record. It's just-
Well, yes, but attached
But
to
it
the
would
meeting
be
minutes.
the traceability,
Yeah, it
and
would.
it would address.
I think
But
it would
from
cover
this,
everything.
from
Consistent.
today on, we could become
Could you want
aware
minutes?
and record that.
Because she doesn't necessarily hear us say, because we may not even say the number.
Right, and she's going off the video.
No, I know, I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
faulting
looking
this
here,
on the
yeah.
note taker, believe me. I'm just saying, you know, unless we start out with it,
We need to capture it.
somehow we need to make it a
We
matter
should
of public
pick- yeah,
record.
We should pick one column or the other in there, either the selectmen's or the department's requested budget. And say, was changed from this amount to this amount, at least, not just we approved it in the amount of.
Well, I think in the beginning, what I can try to do is when we bring up an account, I can say that this is the balance that was requested by the department head, and this is what has been approved by the Board of Selectmen at the beginning, that would make that a part of
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that works.
And then, whatever our decision will be captured later on.
All right, so I don't want
Okay.
to belabor the point, but I just,
All right,
you
so
know,
we'll.
it's not a matter of public record unless we put it in there.
Exactly.
Okay. And remind me if I forget. Back to the November 2nd, account number 4194, the balance amount is incorrect. It should be $27,656 is what we approved.
So, say again, 650?
656.
$27,656.
Okay.
And I do not have any other amendments on the November 2nd. Does anyone else?
I don't know, because I don't know what you said, so can I just say the three I had and tell them
Sure,
they've already been
sure.
gone through? I was present.
Yep.
We got it, we got that.
Also, Michelle Kendricks was there.
We got
Yep,
that.
Dot Izzo was there, you have those two. And, okay, and so down in the budget review, the question mark buried would be Michelle.
Yep.
We got that, yeah.
Okay, and probably got all, I'm sure you got all of them. Okay, and then something that just didn't make sense, I don't know if you changed it, it says, on the back of the page, the last two sentences, it says Chair Bickford concurred.
Mm-hmm.
We
Motion
corrected
passes
that,
5-2.
yeah, we corrected all of that, yep.
Okay, and then I had a question mark down on account 4153. Did we ever get a reason? This is, Jarvis wants to know the reason for the significant increase. I have a question mark. Is that something?
That question was never answered.
Okay, so it's just there. All right. Okay, that was it. That's all I
Okay.
have.
So I
Sorry I was
will,
late.
Yeah,
yes, Dave.
I don't know if you addressed it or not, but on the legal expenses, was that Chair Bickford removed?
Yes, got that one.
Okay, and on the next one down,
All right, that, yeah. Okay, it's Mr. Bickford again, right? You're not
It should be
sure.
Mr. Bickford again, yep.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
right.
he's not chair on this committee.
That's true.
where it says Mr. Shigori this time,
Okay.
on the next one down, I think that should be Bickford there,
Where?
where it says Miss Jarvis and Mr., under account,
Motion for
4153.
Yeah, I didn't
4153.
approve, I did not.
So that should be Mr. Bickford?
So,
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, it's,
actually it was.
Because I think you made the comment that you both agreed.
yeah, as usual.
All right, so any other amendments? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the minutes of the November 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Durham Budget Committee be approved as amended.
Second.
All right, Terry has made a motion to approve the November 2nd minutes as amended. Dave Segori has second. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, November 9th.
Starting on the first page, it would be Board of Selectmen's representative. I believe Karen Kehoe is the DPW secretary.
correct.
And I have to figure out,
I believe
Admin
Ellen,
assistant, isn't it?
yeah, I
I was
believe
there.
that Ellen Phillips was there, so
Yes,
she
I have-
needs to be
I
added.
have not missed a meeting of the budget committee, but I seem to be not here sometimes.
Dot, were you
I
here
have-
at that meeting? I think Dot's been at almost all the budget committee meetings. The budget committee, when we talked highway, et cetera. You were there? She was here then too.
Okay, underneath, call for order, the meeting minutes from October 26th and November 2nd were tabled. That needs to be captured.
Yes. 126,
And on the next page,
I still
Don't
have something
say-
on page one.
Kathy, still on page one,
okay,
2, 3,
just looking to be recognized, that's all.
Terry's got the floor right now, and then I'll let you
Go to the
mention.
fifth line down, under account 4312. Department relative to mowing, and maintenance of the ball field.
In here, where are you?
Under 4312,
Yep,
fifth line down, 1, 2, 3. It begins department relative to mowing.
yep,
and maintenance of the ball field.
Oh,
Okay, Mr. Bickford, did you have something on the first page?
yes. Second line down on the same paragraph, there's staff requests
Yep.
for the highway department, period.
Okay.
And coming down, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where the stats are noted, the hours may need to be increased with a D, past tense. And I just wanted to mention that I have I don't know if it can be to the note taker, that I have a preference for double space after a period. At least that's what I was taught in typing.
Well, it's not the way to do it anymore, that's old
I
school,
do
it's
double space
single.
behind every single period that ever.
It's single space.
you.
The only thing is, it corrects it back to
Yep.
one space.
Not on
Yeah.
mine.
Is that, does?
Mine
Yeah,
never does.
Depending on what version you
Yeah.
have, yes, yes. Okay, on page two.
There's one other,
Oh.
just a typo there. It says, for this was discussion and noted that it should be discussed.
Where are you?
The line above,
Fifth
1,
line
2,
down.
3, 4, fifth line down at the end. The position responsible for this was, and it says discussion, it should be discussed, that's all.
Okay, page two, top line where the question marks, the board,
what's the question mark?
the question marks are, what did he present? He presented to the committee copies of the 2017 RSMS schedule. And then under 4711, the amount that was approved was $55,094, not 95.
40, wait a minute, say that again?
Could I?
Okay.
And that's not,
I want to see the names of those accounts
I agree.
added
I'd
instead of
like,
just the number.
I'd also, following up on what Dave says, I'd like to see them all be consistent. Like above, we had account 4324 solid waste, and then we talk about it. Because these three motions just kind of ran together in
Yeah.
three different accounts.
I'm trying to think, 4711.
That's long-term bonds and notes
Yeah,
principal.
one of them's capital bond.
And the next one would be interest.
Right, but we need to have them identified by account number.
Yeah, that's why I asked. That told you what it is.
And also under,
What is 4711?
that's what I'm trying to find right now, but I
It's
won't
bonds.
come.
Way in the back.
4711 is bond.
Bonds.
bonds.
Okay, so,
It's the bond principal without the interest.
Correct.
right, so what is 4721?
That's the interest,
Interest.
that's the interest on the bonds.
Okay, so that's what needs to be fixed, I guess, because the following line, long-term bonds and notes, is really the interest on long-term business.
I'll go in and all out of the headings like the rest of them.
Okay.
And I believe, under 4196, the vote was 610. I believe you need to identify
I
who
also,
the opposed was, and that was me.
right. Because on some of them they do and some they don't. You know, when there's an opposing vote, sometimes the name is not there.
Is that on the insurance?
It was, yeah, on the insurance, 4196.
4196, yeah. Okay, any other amendments? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the November 9th, 2016 minutes of the Durham Budget Committee be approved as amended.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion made by Terry Jarvis to approve the November 9th minutes as amended, second by Ellen Phillips. Any further discussion? Any abstentions from the vote? I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, November 16th. We just
We just
received it.
received that.
I'll go ahead because I've had a chance to review some. On the first page, budget review, line item, Mr. Curry made 4140 in the amount. I think he's supposed to have made a motion in the amount of, and that amount is incorrect. The amount should be $100,072, not $172,000.
And it needs a dollar sign.
Yeah. And the other thing that I noted was nothing else.
On page 2, at the very top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, all the way over on the right, provided coverage for 68 hours in October, costing the town $2,117.72.
Wait, you want that amended into the hours?
Right here. Following the word October,
The 1,
costing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6
68
lines
hours in
down,
October,
68 hours are costing the town $2,117.72.
one more time, number, just a number.
2117.72.
I did not get a copy of those minutes, if you have an extra.
They're in that pile.
We
No,
just,
I just, oh, right here.
Oh, I have one.
they were in a separate pile from this.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, any other amendments?
I do.
Everybody else has.
I didn't get them, so I'm just kind of looking on these here. At the,
Page 1?
Excuse me.
on page 2,
Okay.
the very last sentence,
Are you looking for it?
I still don't have the minutes.
supporting, I didn't just support a smaller police department, but I also, there was further discussion on line items, but I also brought forward information of where we could have a, at least it had been offered to us, a larger police department for less money. So just also information on.
Okay, you want to
More coverage.
what do you-
complete that?
It should be
Say
more
that
coverage.
You had information provided by the police chief from Alton
Yes,
that proposed or that offered
yeah.
services of,
He offered to go into discussions, and he has come up with a plan that would be more coverage for less cost. That's all I think I need to put in there.
So did you get that, Jen, that insert?
So at the end of that sentence, Mr. Bickford presented information supporting a smaller police department and also provided information from Police Chief from Alton proposing a plan for more coverage at less cost.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Any other amendments?
give me a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Something.
I guess 44, 41. It says that you explained the lines in the budget request, and edits were made, but it doesn't, and then it just says we approved it in the amount of.
So I'm going to, though you should probably vote on it, I'm just gonna add that 500 was taken from the fuel assistance line.
Okay, 'cause
Right.
it changed.
Fuel
That's-
assistance
that's where
line
we-
was lowered by
That's the
500.
amount we edited, if I can look at my notes here.
Which account number was that?
44,
41.
41 welfare.
Oh, okay.
Fuel assistance line was lowered by
That's what I mean,
$500.
it's when you put in what's requested and then what you approve, then it becomes more visible.
Well, it makes sense anyway.
Yeah.
Edits were made, but it doesn't say what.
Yeah, just put it in the explanation.
Edits up, or edits down.
Right, yep.
That's good.
Okay, anything else? All right, I will entertain a motion, please.
I'll move to approve the minutes of November 16th as amended.
Second?
Right, I have a motion from Dave Seguri to approve the November 16th minutes as amended, second by Terry Jarvis. Any further discussion? Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Kathy, you, I believe, stated that the October 26, 2016 minutes had been previously approved.
That's what I was told,
Okay,
yes.
none of these minutes reflect that they've been approved.
I know, so I'll actually have to, though, Scott just said the same thing. I know that they were approved because I found my notes that I made on them. So every time you guys go through and amend things, I write my own notes, and I posted the final ones on the website, so I know
I
that
think
we
they were
approved them.
probably the November 2nd.
I think they were done November 2nd, so I will add that into the November 2nd.
Okay.
I did find a spelling error on them afterwards.
Okay, moving on now. We are going to look at solid waste, account number 4324. We had reviewed this budget and we're awaiting the feedback of the award of the bid. My understanding is that Monday night, the Board of Selectmen did make a decision, and we have had amended
Don't
sheets
worry about it.
distributed to
They'll
us.
just fall down.
Don't
Is
push
that
it
in the
around.
material from tonight?
Right, not
Yes, it
allowed.
was in the material tonight, and I gotta find it. Because I've got it noted. Did we get it tonight? Did I mix that up? Did we get a copy tonight?
Yes,
What's that,
To the
solid
very-
waste?
Towards the
Yes.
back of the.
it says, it's got in red on the top of the page, 11/30/2016.
Okay.
Probably in the bottom of that pile, the ones that I gave you. Although I spent a lot of time putting in different directions, so we didn't get mixed up.
He was so good about it.
Yeah, this must be.
Actually, that did help.
That helped me find the page.
I got
That's
it,
right.
I got it, all right.
Kathy, I can just cut to the chase for you, save you a lot of time.
Thank you, appreciate
Board of
it.
Selectmen met on November 28th and approved the department request of $246,092, which encompasses the solid waste bid, which was awarded to Casella of Massachusetts, Inc., to take care of the MSW and C&D disposal. Recyclable disposal and hauling will be worked through the NRRA. The Public Works folks came back and were able to show that they can show a revenue by using that stream that was better than going with the solid waste disposal company. And the only other change is so the accounts that were affected are 43/24/10, 420. You'll see that dollar amount is slightly different than what you may have seen in your previous sheets. It's a very small amount. And then also in account number 43/24/10, 421, solid waste disposal. That amount has a slight change as well. Those are reflected because of the bid itself. Recyclable hauling is a quote that we received based upon the recyclables for the hauling of those recyclables. That's account number 43/24/10, 425. And the other two accounts that are affected are the hauling for C&D and MSW. That's account number 43/24/10, 561. And then the last account that was affected, which was not reflected on your last sheet, but is on this one, is account number 43/24/10-580, which is solid waste recycling training line, and added in there under the miscellaneous safety wear and supplies. I see the narrative cut off on me. It adds in there for the staff down there to have uniforms. So all DPW staff will have uniform wear for the facility. sorry, the other account that was affected was 432410-426, which is the actual recycling disposal number there. Really, when you look at the whole soup to nuts, things relatively balance themselves out. I believe you'll see that there was only a slight change.
$5,000
Yeah, it's-
plus, right.
Well, compared to what we
Some went
saw,
up, some went down.
it's not bad, because when we looked at it, we were looking at roughly $245,480 for a department request. And what we have for a department request tonight is $246,092. And the Board of Selectmen have approved,
The one I have dated October 27th had a department request of 244,431.
Yeah.
right, and we had to add $1,048 to it for some reason. So that came to $245,480, that's what I have,
I believe that was due to health insurance
yeah.
initially. And then there's been now another, just under $1,000 around there too.
So,
Because of the solid waste contract and uniforms. Uniforms are about $500 for the year,
yep.
for 3 staff.
And the Board of Selectmen have approved the $246,092? Okay.
The contract that we got, how long is that gonna last?
Be 3 years. Escalating cost on it, right around 2.2%. We negotiated with a little bidder to get fixed costs, because it had a range of percentage escalating, so we went with fixed. So it's fixed at 2.2 if you figure it out, based on the tonnage and haul increase price versus it having a minimum increase of 2%. But this company had no cap, so what I have found in my experiences, generally during a 3-year contract, you'll see the escalation go up about 5% over the course of
Did
the
we,
contract.
I guess the other question I got here is, I had a note here about adjusting the allowance for diesel. Because you got a price of $3.21 a gallon. Is diesel that expensive?
Yes, diesel, down there. That's what we're fixed at right now,
Yeah.
is at that high rate until we use up all the
We're going to go through the gallons.
contracted amount.
Yeah.
And that runs out in the middle of the summer, was that this one?
I figured it'd be maybe roughly.
We gotta use up an amount, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Gallons.
Gallons. It's about, if I remember right, it's about 7,000.
All right.
Okay, any other questions?
Kathy, you said that the difference was due to a change in the health insurance.
I didn't say that, but,
I thought you
okay.
had. I'm trying to find where the figure I have, 244,431, where the difference occurred that came up with your figure.
I can tell you, unless I go ahead and make some little things on the side here, sometimes I can't find them. I looked for $10, never mind $1 today, and it was not worth my hourly rate.
So at
That's
this
what I'm gonna say.
point, yeah, at this point, are we
We've got a
in a
bottom line
position
number.
that we can take and act on this department's request for the solid waste facility, account number 4324, in the amount of $246,092?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the solid waste disposal budget 4324 per the department request of $246,092.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Dave Curry, seconded by Dave Segori, for account number 4324 in the amount of $246,092
Per the department request.
per department request. Okay, any further discussion? Any abstentions from the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes, thank you. Okay, the next one will be assessing, account number 4152. This is another account we had looked at and we were waiting for some information.
So, we went through pretty much this whole budget. The only sticking point seemed to be the assessing clerk line, so that number was correct. The actual dollar amount was correct. The narrative had changed to say 8 hours per week instead of, it should be 24 hours per week. So that's 20,980 covers the 24 hours per week for the assessing clerk. So that has been changed back. You should have had, if you don't have new ones, I'm not sure if he printed.
I don't.
4152.
So 4152, the only change to this, based on what you've already reviewed and discussed, is the narrative of the second line, 115 account for assessing clerk should be 24 hours per week at 1681. But the total dollar amount is still the same. Everything else is unchanged.
Any other questions?
And so just for grins, how are Laura's hours now? She gets 24 from REA,
Yep, assessing.
when
And
she
then
gets the
she's-
land use?
She's doing some land use, but that's limited. So I would say she's generally less than 5 at that for
Yeah.
a couple weeks, and same, usually 1 hour a week at welfare.
Yeah,
And then the rest is going to building inspector, however that might work.
what's the
out.
rest equal?
So she's working, what, 30,
30 hours. She works 30 hours. We
32?
have another office clerk that comes in
Okay,
and assists, so.
And keep in mind, sometimes of the year for assessing, she's a lot busier than other times for the year, so this is kind of an overall.
got it.
The reality is really
you gotta vote on
the
this?
staff hours should.
Yeah,
He's
I
ready
need
to
to say a
group
couple of
together.
He's
things
ready to vote.
because of what we decided to do, okay? Okay, just to try and stay consistent now, the department, this is account number 4152, assessing. The department requested a total of $43,705. The Board of Selectmen have approved $43,705, and the Budget Committee is considering $43,705. Okay, if there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion.
I move that account number 4152, assessing, be approved in the requested amount of $43,705.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Terry Jarvis, second by Dave Curry, to approve account 4152 for the department's request of $43,705. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions from the vote? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The next account will be the meeting house. I have it listed as account number 4589. Kathy, will you be presenting this budget, or? I'm just
I'm not
asking the
necessarily
question.
prepared to,
Okay.
but I can certainly speak to it. I don't obviously have it in front of me, so.
Okay.
I can probably.
All right.
say it, Kathy.
Let's do that.
The dollar amounts that were put in and approved by the Board of Selectmen reflect the same numbers which were put in for 2016. They take care of the electricity. There is some money in there for postage. Also, there's a small amount that reflects towards events, grants, and advertising. I believe is the ADV line as well. And I would anticipate that even though this year that doesn't show a large reflection, I can look into detail, but of a lot of usage of that money other than the electricity for the facility. We anticipate that there'll be some work going on there, and there'll probably be some other correspondences back and forth that will necessitate the use of some of this money for 2017. So that's a, prediction going forward based upon the work there that was done, or is being done, with the study update, and getting that approved, and hopefully maybe getting some work underway at the Durham.
Right, I go along with that as a general rule, just to make sure that there was money there, especially to apply for another grant, which is not necessarily cheap. The electricity is out at this moment. You know, there's no electricity at the building. It's burned out at the pole. And let's see, what was the other thing? The advertising. Yeah, I mean, again, like I say, it's probably a really good idea to have money in there as seed money, or to, if something comes up, the advertising, there would not be that much, because apparently the contractor for the work in 2017 has been chosen. And I don't necessarily foresee that we would, I think in the past, the board used that as an advertisement for a contractor. What's the amount there, Scott, please?
$100.
Yeah, I mean, I have no argument with leaving it the way it is. I think we need to make sure that we'd be able to apply for additional grants. And the postage has always been there for fundraising and that kind of things, to do particular mailings to
This
a
is
certain audience, so.
Very similar to the Booty House account, close in some forms in retrospect as far as the allocations for different.
Okay, any more questions from the board? on
As
this?
a comment, because I was concerned with it only spent $98, but the report dated November 7th has expenditures significantly higher at $277.86, so they're probably even higher now. It does not look so out of whack as it does on the document he originally given.
All right, yes, Mr. Bickford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You said the electricity, Kathy, you said the electricity was out. I don't know if anybody else was aware of it. Did you
Oh, yeah,
report it?
in fact, we even discussed it at the meeting when we were up there with Steve Bedard at the meeting house, and the board, at some point, if it was at that meeting, David, or one of the ones that
So
we
you
had
know-
over at the
Do
library,
you know how long it's been out?
indicated since after Christmas, so we noticed it in the spring or the summer.
So I'm still paying the bill every month.
It's about a year then.
And what are you paying? What kind of a?
It's, I mean, it's a fair minimum, so, but it's, you know.
Well, at the
17.
time,
You're gonna
At the-
pay that anyway, though.
Yeah.
The meter
Just
there,
having
they
the
pay the
line.
service charge.
Right, at the time, the Board of Selectmen had indicated that they felt that it could be rolled into whichever contractor was going to do the work, that person would be responsible for fixing the electricity. I remember that being discussed.
I didn't discuss it.
All right,
All
well,
right.
what we have before us is the budget, and we need to keep moving on, okay?
Yep.
This is for the meeting house. It's listed under other culture and recreation. It is account number 4589. The department has requested $515. The Board of Selectmen have approved $515. The Budget Committee is considering the request of $515. Any additional discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the other culture and recreation account 4589 in the amount of $515 as requested.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Motion is made by Dave Curry to accept 4589 in the amount of $515, which is the department's request. Has been seconded by Terry Jarvis. Any further discussion? Any abstentions from the vote? Going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Just to answer your question, Terry, $142 expended for electricity. $142.
It's climbing.
Okay, we are taking on the library, account number 4550. I didn't look at it.
received different from what we have received
Well,
before?
let me do a little formality
Okay.
first, Terry, and then we'll start with questions, okay? We are looking at account number 4550. The department has requested $124,930 based on documents that were distributed today, dated 11/30/2016. I see that the Board of Selectmen have taken no action on this account. What we've been doing, Kathy, I'm assuming you're presenting, and what we've been doing is having the requester go through the line items, talk a little bit about it, and just keep going. If we have a question, we'll stop and ask our question, okay?
Oh, okay, that's great.
And
And I
we just need
think
to
you,
keep moving.
okay, and I think you all received the overview of the library and, that we sent out, and also our budget narrative. All right, so, and again, I mean, the important aspect, I think, is that the lines that the trustees have control over are the same or lower than our request for last year. So, as we go through here, we see we're starting with salaries, and that's indicating, oh, is it? Yep, 2080, sorry. That's a full-time, that's 40 hours a week at $18.25, gives you your first figure there at the top. We've broken down, within library assistant, there would be two salary ranges there. The one person who works more hours is $14.75. The other assistants would be at $14.50. The custodial, remember that the vast majority of these lines are town hall generated, so Jen apparently knows how much the library custodial fees are. We will need, I think if you've read through the stuff that we sent out, we will be needing a library substitute at $10 an hour. Are you okay with that? And then the rest of these lines are again town hall generated, and that takes us right down through the building maintenance, which town hall has added, and that's, you're budgeting $1,000 for mowing the lawn. We're assuming that the contract is actually gonna be about $850, but you've budgeted $1,000. The telephone, again, that comes from town hall. The electricity and the heating are things that, who really knows, because we've got this lovely new system in there now that runs on electricity, and what we're assuming is that our actual furnace will run very little this winter. But one never knows, so we've budgeted the $2160 for the electricity and $4,000.
How long's the furnace been in there?
Oh, the furnace is original, since 1984.
And that's done by the library heating line?
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
That's
that's,
basically for a while.
yeah, that's what they figured, but the point is, we've got we've got the mini splits over there, which are supposed to be phenomenal energy savings. That we will realize phenomenal energy savings. And our hope is that the actual furnace runs very, very little. And they say,
So how many years to pay out on that project?
sorry?
How many years to pay out on that project? It cost you a bunch of money.
Oh,
Put those in
yes, yes.
And you're supposed to get savings, so.
Yeah, in like 2 to 3 years, you're supposed to realize
So where do you
savings.
expect to save it? On that
In
line?
the
Oh.
library
Yeah.
heating,
Yeah,
because that's a fuel
that's
price.
heating oil.
Hold on, yes, in effect, the two together will go down. Your electricity is obviously gonna go up,
Mm-hmm.
but not $4,000.
Worth, no.
And this is just guessing, okay, at this point. We have no empirical
Well,
information.
year-to-date 2016, which I would expect was most of the heating from last
Sure.
winter,
Sure.
January through.
Right, and
Present.
now we've
You've
got.
only spent 1,000 out of 4,000.
I know, and that was using the furnace exclusively, so we're hoping
was
to
looking
to
at
realize
that.
really major
When did you
savings.
put in
I was gonna
this
cut it
split
to 2,000.
system?
We put it in the summer, and
So
it's,
you ran the air conditioning side of it?
we did.
That's why the electric is where it is, okay.
It's a little higher, yeah. And it will be to a certain extent, obviously, because we're going to get the vast majority of our heating from that. But
Okay, so library heating, you budgeted 4,000 last year, you spent 1,000. Even if you spent, another $500 this year, that would only be like 1,600,
Right.
right? So why did you request 4,000 for 2017?
It's a town hall generated figure.
Is it? So what should it be, do we think?
I wanted to cut it to 2.
We left everything the same
Sure.
because it really doesn't.
We don't know.
We don't know yet.
What's gonna happen to these two new units. You would think that they would go down.
And last year was
It can't
such a
be
mild.
worse.
It wasn't
Let's make it
fair.
2,500.
It was a mild winter.
No,
It can't be
here's what,
worse.
I'll make a bargain with you. Let's make it 2,500.
Yeah, I
Well,
What do you think?
but let me just say this.
I know
If
it's a
it is-
mild winter.
Last year was a mild winter. This year, if we have frigid temperatures, once temperatures hit 0, the mini splits do not work and that furnace would run, just to let you
But
know
still,
that.
you didn't have
That's
that, you
okay.
had,
Yeah,
and
we
you
had a-
still, you haven't spent anywhere.
Yep,
Question,
whatever.
what
I
happens
don't
if we
understand.
cut it to 2,500 and they go over? Where does the money come from?
Comes from another account.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
It
it.
comes out of the
It's
rest of the
covered up.
So
budget.
you get the heating if they cut.
Just one. If these are accurate, in 2015, spent 3,200.
Yeah.
That was before you made the project, right? That's before you made the project, 2015.
Yes,
So
and
is
that's-
2016.
So you would expect to see savings from the 3,241.
I
You
said,
would.
you're going over against,
I'm just saying,
A
I don't think,
thousand.
why should we raise taxes for $4,000 when you probably only need 2,500 or 3,000 max?
Yep.
The only problem is if it's frigid and we
That's
need
not,
But just,
okay,
if I, just during that frigid period of time that it would run.
right.
So
Yeah.
most of the year is not below
That's
zero.
right.
No.
So yes, there should be a savings. What it is, we don't.
All I'm saying
Right. Oh,
is,
yeah.
in your budget request, you're not reflecting a savings from the project
that is
that
correct.
you installed. And you should.
For an engineering term, you would not reflect savings until you had a
compared to
track
that.
record.
Yeah,
Well, I think you do have a track record.
You haven't spent
Because last year,
$1,000
the
yet.
2015, it was 3241, and this information is dated through the end of November, and it's only 1,000.
it's nothing to us, Dave, it's not our number.
Yeah, so I'm saying, let's
Okay,
make
so
that
2,500.
2,500.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, the septic is the septic that we do every year. What have we got? Let's see, the alarm system is the 304.
Is
Um,
that for both your security alarms
No,
and your
no.
fire alarms?
No.
So where's the security alarms coming
That is-
out?
It's in building maintenance under our operating funds. Well, it actually is, if you'll go through this, that's where it is. Building maintenance. An annual amount of $180 will come from this line to provide for the library's alarm system, Simply Safe.
I just put it down as
Well, I know,
a subscription today,
I
because I
know,
didn't know
but-
what else.
yeah, but that's what I
Because
had
it's a
done,
subscripted service
yeah,
monthly.
I put it in
And I
there.
can change that, I can change that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, our operating funds, we're requesting the same as we did last year, 21,050. And then you can see the breakdown here.
Can I
wanna cut that.
can I mention a comment on that? So last year, do you remember how the library budget went last year? So a budget was presented to the Board of Selectmen. The selectmen approved it at a much lower rate based on a part-time library and a lot of other numbers changed. From that point, Kathy rewrote the budget, came to, in front of the budget committee and presented another budget. You guys approved it at a higher rate with a full-time librarian, which is fine. Unfortunately, what happened during that process, and we in finance had to reevaluate it going backwards and reviewing the minutes, was you added all this extra money in it, but you didn't exactly say where you were adding that money into. So there was a couple small additions of $100 here, $1,000 here, of where specifically that extra money was going to, but for the most part, the bulk of that extra funding was not allocated to a line item. which isn't necessarily the budget
No, that's
committee's
not right.
responsibility.
I
It
think
is right,
what-
we all have looked at the minutes at this point. It's
Well,
all-
well, okay, this is because the budget justification doesn't accompany the minutes. But the budget justification had amounts attached to each line item of that budget. Our approval, or lack of approval, or whatever, only reflects a total. Now, that's what we approve, because quite frankly, it's at the discretion of
the select-
the
Trustees.
trustees
Right.
to expend that money where they need it and not go over the bottom line, right?
And this
So,
is
but what we approved and the rationale we approved was in accordance with what they submitted.
That's right.
So how finance had to go backwards, because the selectmen never went back and reevaluated that
Didn't have
budget. And,
Right.
and the trustees never went back and reevaluated that budget. So when the budget got put into the finance system or the expense system, all of that extra funds got thrown into this single account because there was no across-the-board allocation. So,
Okay.
so that's why her original request of $21,050 is shown here as $36,680. Keep in mind that this is kind of just an overage as a holding account to cover her other charges, because her budget also is zero funded for health insurance, dental, all of those full-time expenses were zero funded, that's the budget that was presented. So this is kind of just covering the over withdrawal of those accounts.
I think the thing to bear in mind is that the total, the budget total for the 2016 budget
Right.
was 122,158. And those figures agree with the figures that were presented to the budget committee by the library last year. And so, you know, the point is, as I say, the wages line that the trustees are presenting this year for the 2017 budget are lower than last year, and the operating funds we're proposing is the same. And I think that's like kind of the most important aspect. There are some incorrect figures for the 2016 budget listed on this sheet that you've got. But the point is that they all, everything adds up to what the bottom line is, which was approved by the budget committee and appropriated by the townspeople.
You've got a bottom line here, 124,930, less the 1,500 we just took out of the heating, 123,430.
Correct.
And if I may, less, to compare apples to apples, take out $1,000, which is a new charge for mowing.
That's true, yes.
We come to 122,430, which is less than $300 above last year.
I have a question for Scott. When we were doing other budgets, the custodial costs have all been coming out of 4194.
That's incorrect.
Close.
Close.
I thought that under the police department, fire department, the budget I had, and one of which was approved,
Yeah.
custodial was not listed, and the information we were given said it was coming out of 4194.
That part is correct.
So why isn't the library coming out of
Because the library
4194?
is a separate entity from the
I was
town.
gonna look at doing
They
this.
are governed by a board of trustees and they operate independently, other than our wage and benefits.
But the board of selectmen have contracted for cleaning services, or did the
We
trustees
have the same,
individually
we
contract?
have the same folks.
The
It
same,
was done
Yeah.
as a
so was it
joint,
different
Yeah.
joint
contract?
venture, same
Yep.
contractor,
Yep,
it was done as a joint bid, which was a good thing probably.
Yep, absolutely.
I think when they put it together, you get a better economy of scale for that situation there.
Are they all in going through this?
The balance of the line items are generated because of its FICA and Medicare. We don't have any control over those. So at this point, is there any additional discussion?
I'm still comparing,
I don't know yet.
I'm still comparing the
So
old
your bottom line you
information
have
to the
listed now is 123,430.
122.
123,430.
430. We didn't
I
take
don't
out the
know,
mowing.
Alan, that was when I just said,
Well, you didn't, that's true, you didn't take it out, but.
we didn't
Yeah.
actually take it out,
You don't
just
take it
took
out.
it out to compare with last
Exactly.
year.
Okay, Mr.
So
Bickford, you
basically,
had a
they're asking the
question?
same.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. a former town administrator told me, when you do library budgets, you need to look at also the treasurer's report and the treasurer's, information on operating account, because they have another account of money. And she said that has to be taken into account on the budget that we do. Now, I look back at the minutes and I see that Mr. Mayor made a report that the operating account that I assume you control is at $6,805 as of November 1? No, 3rd? I've got it here anyway, but it was fairly recent, November 1.
Do we
And then you have a
that
trustee
information?
account that has $8,776 in it. And that's what you reported on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was $5,000 just sent to the library from the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So you should have a total of approximately $20,581
No.
in your account.
Well,
We have 11 and we have 870.
Okay, that would come about the
870 is
same.
the trustee's account, it's completely different from the library operating account.
What would that, if it's, it may be different, but it's used for library, right?
Yes,
Is that the money from fundraising?
fundraising,
Book sales?
donations, that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
which is used to offset taxes generally. That's the purpose of the
Yeah,
fundraising.
hopefully it's gonna get us our cover.
Excuse me?
Is that money that's raised from the group Friends of the Library? Is that what you're talking about? This is above and beyond that?
Right.
Okay. So you've got how
What's the
much?
point?
Yeah.
$20,581 total.
No.
Well,
Oh, excuse me.
not after bills are paid, David, but yeah,
So this is how much revenue you have available to spend?
we have eight
Discretionary.
8,000 in the trustees. We try to build that up to pay for big ticket items. The thing that's the most concerning at this stage of the game is the carpeting in the children's room.
And what was the 11,000 we had heard earlier?
That would be the balance in the operating account on either October or November 1st.
November 1st, you.
Right.
So
And that's
you get to
before-
carry the balance in the operating fund over into the next year?
I
Is that
believe
right?
so.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, okay. That's
The-
why we need to take that into account then.
The trust,
Well, the problem is that since we're a separate account, if we don't cover them, we can't pay bills.
No,
Because
no,
we pay them.
no,
No,
my
we're not
concern
saying
was,
that.
it's just not being returned to the general fund,
Right.
it goes to zero. That's-
You stay, you keep it.
You get to
Right.
keep it.
Yeah, we don't take it from you, just take it into account with this.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
Um,
So,
Well, okay.
and that wasn't submitted with what we have, so that's new
Because
information.
it doesn't have anything to do with us.
Well, yeah,
Well, it
the
could.
trustee fund,
it's less than 10%.
Kathy, the way I look at it is our budget is from March through March. Because we have to fund things during that whole.
First of all, technically, it's January
Yeah,
to
that's
January.
your,
But
that's
I
your,
mean, I'm saying how it's,
no,
how it's spent. If we didn't have anything left over in January, we'd have to shut down.
So I'm missing the point. You're funded, you're fully funded on January 1st.
yep.
So,
We don't get any money from the town until March.
You can request money.
yes, Dave.
Technically, he's right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
fine. We
I
understand.
mean,
Your
There's no
splits, yeah.
different than the town itself.
We understand.
Say that
Technically,
again,
he's right,
Swin.
but There's no different than the town itself.
Right, he's right.
I can't hear him.
Technically, he is correct. There's no different than everything else in the town.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
but he still can operate.
The difference here is, if I may, the difference here is that because they are operating under the trustee situation, they don't have the town reserves to call on to cover that period from January 1 to whenever the vote is. So they are required to use their trustee funds of 8,000, 11,000, whatever the number will be, for that period until they are assured of getting the funding from the voters. So they don't have the town reserves to call on to back up January 1 to March X. They have to use that reserve.
okay.
But there
There
is an agreement of monies that's transferred at a regular interval, though.
and this-
Yes.
After the
Already,
vote.
already.
Yeah, just
So,
Vote, yeah.
$15,515, I believe, has been
All right.
transferred. There's still another 5,000 to be
Yep,
transferred.
yep,
Okay,
we got
so
the request.
we'll do
On the operating.
20 on the-
That's,
The trustee fund,
now I understand.
Are the
Why
trustees-
March, because of the town.
the 8,000 in trustee funds, are those monies that come from taxation, or they come from other sources other than the taxpayers?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
So are we at 123,430? Is that where we're at?
Correct.
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
it would be, yep. If you're ready. Is there any other discussion? Okay, being no other discussion,
It might be after the motion.
that's what I wanted to find out. If
Let's
there's-
put a motion on the
Yeah,
table.
and then we'll
Motion's
put a
gonna be-
motion on the table. Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the library budget 4550 in the amount of $123,430 as opposed to the department request of 124,930.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, I'll give it to Ellen. She beat you just by a tiny bit, okay. I have a motion on the table to accept the library account number 4550 in the amount of $123,430. A motion was made by Dave Curry, second by Ellen Phillips. Any additional discussion?
I'll probably oppose because I feel there's, because of the amount of the unexpended funds that are there to offset.
Oh, yeah, but
the-
Dave,
The
can I-
next, this coming year, okay.
right, but just to clarify for that, December is the month when we get huge, huge bills. And that money's not going to be there, just so that you know.
That is,
Yeah.
all our
All the-
agreements with the other libraries, Library Association.
Yeah, well, it's,
Okay.
yeah,
We
so-
have a motion on the table to finish.
Just so that you
Thank
know that
Okay.
it's not there.
Any other discussion? Right, I'm going to call for the vote. Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'll oppose.
Okay, so that is a 6-1 vote, and it should be noted that David Bickford is opposed. Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it very much.
Right. The next item we are going to be taking up is called Other Agencies. This is account number 4415. My understanding is we do have some individuals here for discussion purposes, if we have any questions. We have not looked at these, I don't believe, right? For this, right?
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, good night.
Okay. From the information I have, I believe we're going to have representatives from the Kingwoods Youth Center, Cornerstone VNA, and CAP. Okay, so we have everyone present.
We like the buddy system.
Right. What I'm going to do is I will do the formalities first. This is Health and Other Agencies, account number 4415. The department has requested $5,042. The Board of Selectmen have approved $3,042. And we have folks here who would like to speak. So why don't we look at Kingswood Youth Center first? We did have, do we have any backup that came? Did they,
Yes.
did you give us backup?
That should be,
It should be in your packet.
Here we go, there you go.
No, that's my copy. We didn't get anything in for this one.
We didn't get it here earlier.
Yep, I got it here. It's an Excel spreadsheet, looks like this.
Oh, yeah.
that was in the packet that Scott had ready for everybody this week.
Yeah.
And the one that we got on Monday?
No, we
way
got
back.
it way back, early in the beginning. Just for the record, We do not have anyone from CASA, C-A-S-A, that is here today. There wasn't a volunteer available, so all groups were sent an invitation. So the representatives from Kingswood, if you'd like to come up to the table and introduce yourselves.
Thank you. My name is Pam Sweeney. I'm the Executive Director of the Kingswood Youth Center.
I'm Mara Mishno. I'm the Team Director at the Kingswood Youth Center.
Okay, so in just a few minutes, if you can summarize and help us understand the request.
So we do, okay. We offer after-school programs to teens in the Governor Wentworth Regional School District. Teens 12 to 18 years old. They're allowed to come into the center after school. They're bused here from the schools. We offer them a hot meal, and then we offer 4 or 5 programs every day for them to choose from. Typically, we see 16 to 25% of our kids from New Durham. Our ask is based on last year, which was, I believe, 19% were from New Durham. We had 286 students last year, so 19% of them were from New Durham. We usually get help from most of the towns that we service. We get $5,000 from Wolfboro. We get $5,000 from OSFI this year. Last year we had $4,000. This year we upped our ask, and then they granted us $5,000, and $3,000 from Tuftonboro. I have been with the youth center since 2004, and I think I left for like a year and a half in 2011, came back in 2013, and I don't believe that the town of New Durham has ever funded our programs, not to my knowledge. So I was, I guess, eager to come in and talk to all of you and just tell you what we do.
Any questions from the committee?
You indicate that you get $5,000 from Governor Wentworth. Is that a direct grant, or is it specific as to what you can use it on?
It is from the school. We offer a school to work program, and that was first presented to them in 2005, and they offered funding for $5,000 for that school to work program. It was an accredited program. It was half a credit. And this year, Mara is here from Alaska. We hired her 2 years ago, and she's a certified teacher from Alaska. But she needs to get certified for the state of New Hampshire to continue that program. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
You can speak on it a little bit. But they still funded us the $5,000 last year, even though we didn't run the program, because they changed the regulations. I went before the school board in 2005 and presented it was called The Wilderness Within. It was a self-esteem program that we ran during the school period, and we were funded that $5,000 from them.
So when you said that there were how many students from?
Last year there was 286 students.
And that's from Kingswood?
Right, Kingswood Middle School and High School,
Right.
ages 12 to 18, and out of that number, 19% were from New Durham. I think the previous year we had 16% from New Durham, and then there was 22% the year before that, I believe. It's usually around 16 to 25% from New Durham.
If I could jump in on
Go ahead.
that same thing, one of the things I've found a lot of times people will present and say, well, 19% of these people came from the town, but then I ask, well, how long did they stay?
I knew you were gonna ask that. And you know what, our statistics don't reflect that. When they come in and they attend a program, they become a member of the youth center. So we really have no way of telling how many times, like little Johnny showed up. He might have showed up all year, or he might have showed up only half the year. So unfortunately, we don't have those statistics.
So it's not, you're not necessarily saying that 19% is representing individual children, it's 19% visits.
No, not even that.
No, not even that. 19% of our 286 members were from Durham. I can't tell you if those 19% came every day or just one day.
They become members.
365.
Right.
It's just what we base our
So we
membership
don't
on.
know.
I can't tell you how many times they
So
showed
it
up.
could be the one kid showing up.
So you don't track attendance or anything?
We do track attendance, but we don't track, we don't keep a log of that percentage, how many kids come every day. They just become members, they're on our membership, and we just have it that way.
We have a binder of sign-in sheets, but we don't put that into the statistics necessarily, how many times they've come.
Do you have specific programs on specific days or something that they might come just for certain programs?
Yeah, we do.
And I can think off the top of my head a handful of our new Durham kids that we see regularly and we just love.
Right, so it's just like, this is our program calendar, there's, 4 or 5 activities every day. We get food from the New Hampshire Food Bank, we give them a hot meal, they walk in and there's a hot meal on the table. It can be a hot turkey sandwich, it can be a roast turkey dinner, it can be a hamburger, a hot dog, and we give them vegetables and something else to balance out the meal every single day that they come in. So everything's free. And then we also have a van that we take them into the communities sometimes. We do community projects. We clean up the rail trail, we have, we've done the Ospey and the Wolfboro Food Bank Gardens.
We volunteer at the Humane Society twice a month, the Lake Street Humane Society and Ossipee twice a month.
So we do a lot with these kids, it's part of our leadership program. We were open 68 additional hours last year, and this year we're striving for 100 additional hours. We have the support of our board and our community volunteers. We have, 25 volunteers right now, something like that come in daily with our kids, usually about 2 a day. We have White Horse Addiction Center that comes in every Wednesday and talks to the kids about substance abuse and prevention. We have a gentleman that comes in on Thursdays and teaches music lessons, guitar, piano, drum lessons. We have retired teachers. We have a retired physician who's been volunteering for over 16 years, and he's a very, very big financial contributor. So, our programs are, they're a staple of the community, and I'm really proud of them, or I wouldn't have come back in 2013. So anyway, we thank you for the time to tell you, what we have, and I know that it's tight, but.
How many of these kids would you consider, what do you call it?
At risk.
Key kids?
Latchkey kids?
Latchkey kids?
Well, 70 to 80% are below the poverty line. That's usually our number. And we have a survey that we give 3 times a year. So the kids that receive free and reduced lunch or reduced lunch are considered at the poverty level or below. So we know that 70 to 80% of our membership yearly really needs the programs that we give. For example, I was just talking today, and we took 24 kids skating last year. And out of those 24 kids that went skating, 10 of them had never even put on a pair of skates. And that just astonishes me.
Okay, but I'm just thinking, daily, are they going home to nobody home?
We can't really gauge that. They tell us, you probably know, Mara works.
I think just through talking with the kids one-on-one, a lot of them, yes, they do. They definitely go home.
Do you take in any other children from any other areas?
No, just
This
the Governor
is-
Wentworth Regional District.
Okay.
And Middleton just joined that district, just joined it, so they're new to us. It's the 2nd year.
Yes, Swen?
So I didn't understand where the rest of your funding comes from.
I have a budget here. We get about 80%, I think, from donations and grants. We get 13,000 from town support right now, 5,000 from the school. We have a rental home on our property. We have 5-acre property in Wolfboro. We charge $1,000 a month for rent for that property, so we get $12,000 from that. That usually really helps with property repairs, things like that. Fundraising is about $40,000, I think. Grant writing, grants about 50. I write grants, that's what I do.
Grants are usually federal or state or what?
They're usually private. I do a lot of foundations. Yep. New Hampshire Charitable has been very kind to us. Then we have the Wolfboro Fund, and there's another fund in Wolfboro that actually just granted me money for a TV set. So they gave us $600 for the TV. We have movie nights quite often, family movie nights too with the kids and their families. So.
Is there a reason, something like, what am I saying? Work for the government, so we call this Combined Federal Campaign, but United Way or something like that?
Oh, we have been funded by United Way, and actually I'm applying again. I was awarded.
So where would that show in here?
It would be it'd just be under the grant line, but I was awarded, we haven't been funded for 3 years. When I left because of a medical reason, and when I left, the director that replaced me did not reapply for funding. So I just started the relationship with them again, and we just went for a workshop, and I'm actually writing a grant right now that's due December 14th. It's very lengthy, and I'm gonna request $10,000 for prevention funds. Because a lot of our programs deal with prevention. Obviously, the time with White Horse Addiction Center is really helpful for the kids because they come in and, pretty much answer any of the questions that they have.
Yeah, we had an hour-long discussion with them today, the
Yeah.
whole group, it was great.
today being the Wednesday that they come in.
There's another question behind you. Yes,
Oh,
Scott?
What are you, sorry, coming back.
Oh, that's fine. What are your referral sources?
Well, the
Court, police
schools,
departments,
Are
these
mostly,
kids at risk?
some of them. Yep, we have a lot of referrals from the schools and from the guidance departments. We have some families that just come in and they want a tour of the place and just, you know, they either speak to myself or Mara, or we have another gentleman that works on staff. And,
I go into the school 4 times a year too. I go into the health class, which all 7th graders circulate through. So I'm able to speak to every single 7th grader that's entering into the school district, or not the district, but the middle and high school, and tell them about the youth center. We've gotten a lot of enrollment that way as well. So we give them all the paperwork, I do a slideshow, we play games, give them candy, you know, just kind of show them how fun it can be, and then a lot of them are introduced that way to it.
right.
Okay, any other comments, questions from the committee? Yes, Mr. Bigford.
The big question. How much is your salary?
How much is my salary? 40,000.
How much?
40,000.
Okay, and yours?
I went from salary to hourly, so.
She's hourly, Myra had a baby last year, and so she dropped down her hours, so she is $19 an hour.
She's what?
$19 an hour.
20 hours a week.
Okay, 20 hours a week. Now, is there any other staff?
Yes, we have a program director.
But you're the executive director.
I'm the executive director. The program director is also $19 an hour.
Okay,
And about the same, he's a little bit more hours than me.
Couple more hours,
Yeah.
all right, that takes care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for.
very
letting me
much.
know.
Can I just?
Oh, excuse me.
To them and to the board, I just want to say that seeing that some of our students, whether it was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 students, participate here, that as a town that has students going there, we should contribute something. We should not be able to say that we are not going to support them, we'll let the other towns do that. I just feel it's a responsibility that we should undertake.
Thank you very much. And I understand funding is tight, and I came here with that ask, and it might seem like a huge ask, but it was just in proportion for the number of kids, and, we would totally accept graciously anything that you could give to
Well,
us.
as a former teacher who has seen at-risk children from kindergarten on up, and know that the issues and what they can get involved with in high school, having a place for kids to go, those who avail themselves of it are very fortunate, and the town of New Durham is fortunate that those children are getting some of what they need to keep them from failing in many
Thank you.
ways.
With that, I need to move us on,
Oh,
okay?
excellent.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Cornerstones VNA, why don't we have you come up next?
Hello. So I'm Jennifer Gullison, I'm the clinical director at Cornerstone DNA. Carrie Landry McBride, I'm the director of finance at Cornerstone DNA. So thank you for having us.
Thank you.
If anyone is not familiar with Cornerstone DNA, so we are a nonprofit home care agency. We have been around since 1913, so 103 years. And we provide a variety of different services. We have 5 distinct programs. We have home care, we have hospice, we have life care, which is a private duty service that does 24 hours, 7 days a week of private duty services, which are non-skilled services in the home. We have a palliative care program, which has been around and up and going for a little over 2 years. And then we have a community care program, which we do a lot of free clinics and education in the several communities that we serve. And as far as the services that we provide a lot of specialty services, and we have a lot of programs that are not funded by the insurances or the payers that we have. So the specialty programs include a certified diabetic educator, certified ostomy and wound nurses. We have a behavioral health program with the epidemic with depression, anxiety, and behavioral problems in our communities that we're seeing escalate. So we created and fully staffed a behavioral health program to address that. With our wound and certified and ostomy and specialty programs, that gives our nurses the specialties and the skills to be able to be that expert in the home, to be able to keep those patients home and out of the hospital. Those are probably our highest risk patients that have complications that are at risk for going back to the hospital, so we're able to keep them home and address those needs right on site. Our programs such as telehealth and palliative care our telehealth program is not funded by anything, any payer or reimbursement source that we have. And that is a technology that we feel very strongly in, that we've invested in. And it allows us to remotely monitor our patients in their home through a tablet and to connect with patients daily. And the purpose of that is to teach patients how to manage their illness in their home when symptoms occur at that time. And we've been able to successfully keep our patients out of the hospital and have been recognized in local and state newspapers as a result of that program. Our palliative care program is something that's very critical. We service all patients of all ages in our palliative care program, and it allows our nurse practitioner and a specialized team to work together to be able to manage symptoms for life-limiting diagnoses in the home, and that has been very successful. And we're the only home care agency that has a fully staffed, operational, home-based palliative care program in our community that we're able to offer. And we specialize also in pediatrics. We're one of the very few home care agencies that are able to offer full services to our pediatric population, including the ability to do IVs in the home and to keep those children home working with their families and still go to school and do appointments and do the things that they're able to do. So with our services, we do birth to death. So we ask for the town's support, continued support to fund those programs. We're able to see patients regardless of insurance and regardless of the reimbursement, which is very vast as far as commercial insurance reimbursement, Medicaid reimbursement, is very limited reimbursement for those payers. And with those specialized services that get no reimbursement in those programs, we really reach out to this town to be able to continue that support with the ask of $1,800.
Last year, specifically for the town of New Durham, we serviced over 60 patients in a variety, all of our different programs. Some of them were in the palliative care program, some pediatrics, some of them in our home care program, and some in the life care program. Out of those 60 patients, we saw them in excess of 1,000 times. So we removed that. For each request for town funding, we provide all the financial data, and calculating the cost and the underinsured for those. There was a loss to the agency. We're a nonprofit, so we take the patients on regardless, and we operate at a loss very often. But these 60 patients cost the agency a loss of $30,000. Anybody knows the crisis that healthcare is in right now. The bulk of our programs that tend to be profitable, not in the last couple of years, comes from Medicare. And we hope that typically Medicare programs can supplement some of the town losses. Medicare has been cutting us back each and every year. And they want us to do more with less and do it better. And that's where some of our programs come into play, like the telehealth and the specialized nurses, so that we can keep these people in their home and not necessarily have to visit them as often, and they have the tools necessary and the caregiver has the instructions necessary to keep them in their home. The most important thing is keeping them out of the hospital. That ends up costing everybody money overall.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee?
To be clear, I think that we should definitely be supporting Cornerstone. In the big picture, it does save money. Because we support them, we have citizens that are getting care that they wouldn't otherwise, that they could be coming to us through our welfare department for medical support. And, but 1847, I think, is a good investment.
I have a silly question. Where did you find that 18?
That's
On that, okay.
That's what they approved everything.
Okay. I see it, okay.
Well, they had, oh, excuse me.
No, I was just saying, it's good data you provided. If you lost $30,000 on the Durham residents last year, so to speak, you've got good hard data to suggest that. I'd even go for increasing your donation as a town.
How about you personally?
We can do that.
as well.
Oh, that too,
Wow.
that too.
That was a long time, wasn't it?
That I was not
Got the whole meeting.
expecting from
Always
you.
to spend somebody else's money.
I like it, Dave, I like it.
We should really appreciate that.
But my elderly mother took advantage of the elderly programs you have there, and I think you do a great job.
Oh, great, glad
No
we
problem
could
with
be
your
there for it.
organization.
Wow.
That's
Very
excellent.
professional.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't think there's any other questions or comments or anything. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much.
And now we will do CAP CAP. Welcome and thank you.
Welcome, thank you so much. So I'm Betsy Parker, I'm the CEO of Community Action, and this is Krista Welch, she's the Director of Advancement. And I believe you all have reviewed the material, the letter with our statistics that we.
August 17th, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so this year, as you may or may not know, CAP has been here since 1965. We've been consistently serving Stratford County residents for that amount of time. We are the leading anti-poverty agency here in the county. We do all of the anti-poverty programs except for WIC. That's administered by Goodwin Community Health. The biggest thing that we find residents from New Durham, and last year we had 97 families that received assistance with community action. 50 households receive fuel assistance. That's when we actually needs test the people when they come in. They have to give us their fuel bill. It could be electric, wood, gas, propane. It could be propane, not natural gas up here, or deliverable fuel. We also look at their last 4 weeks of pay, as well as their tax returns, and then also look for everyone's social security cards and confirmation that they are who they are and who's working in the entire household, including that if we're getting disability payments. If people can't produce things, we request their documentation from the IRS and or their bank statements. So I point that out because a lot of people think you kind of walk into here and we sort of give you something. We actually don't. We actually want to make sure your bill is your bill. We pay the vendors directly. That's another really important piece about our fuel assistance program. The total program is $2.7 million, and that gets turned around to local vendors. We actually have 15 local vendors who depend on our fuel assistance program to keep them going every year. We pay them every single Friday. They're local vendors. Some of them primarily are wood dealers. We make sure people get their wood in October by giving them their allocation first. There's nothing worse than stacking wood in a snowstorm. The program opens up in December, so we make sure they get their wood earlier. But with that, when everyone brings the material in, there's a formula. It's a state formula that's gone into a database system. So it churns out what that allocation would be. The average assistance that comes out with fuel assistance depends on the number. It's about $6.94 last year. It depends on the number of people living in your house, the type of fuel that you get, the number of rooms. So that's just one piece of it. Electrical assistance gives you a discount. And then as well, we also had helped some people out with our food pantries. So this is the big one. We know that many towns wait and win December. Actually, we opened up our program November 14th with the state, and we know that lots of towns rely on our services. So instead of having this be a burden to the town through their welfare office, we are the ones who are supplying that fuel assistance. We have an office in Farmington, and so people are able to access services in our Farmington office. And I will say two things. We're looking for board members from this area. We have elected and appointed officials. Any of you? Don't all raise your hand. So we're looking for those. No one made eye contact with me. As well as one of the things we're also, and the library here, also looking for a spot that we can set up and have some designated times to come up in the area to bring us to people. It's always more helpful too if we can go to people than having them always travel down. We do mail-in applications as well, so. That's
Can I speak for 1 second on this?
Yep.
So in presenting the welfare budget on behalf of Laura, our welfare clerk, she asked me specifically to speak about CAP. And she works so closely with them down there, and she really recommends that all of her welfare people go to CAP Direct, and it really saves the town a good amount of money because we are not expending it from our welfare budget. we're kind of pushing it off on them, and they do a great job. So she really loves all of their services, utilizes them regularly, and she really wanted me to advocate on their behalf. So I'm glad that they're here, but I also wanted to put in her perspective on the situation as well.
And notice too, in the numbers, we do actually have 3 children who come to our childcare facility in Farmington. We did weatherize one home last year. That's a significant savings. We also point, when we come and weatherize homes, obviously it makes them more fuel efficient. Again, I happen to know a little bit about heaters, so I know your library got a fuel efficient heater. That will make it more important. I know way too much about this stuff now. But with that, it's important that we're allowing people to stay in their homes and contribute to the tax base and continue to be part of the community. Our employment programs, Workplace Success and WIA, those are for dislocated long-term workers who have been unemployed, or those people who may be on TANF and other assistance that they're required to come to our volunteer employment work program, and then we help them look for long-term employment. So these are the actual numbers that came from New Durham. Things fluctuate, but I do know one thing that we do really well with all of our towns, and it looks like last year maybe just didn't happen, is that if there's a person needing security deposit assistance, we run the state security deposit program where people have to pay it back. We also have, we also partner, and if someone is in need of our first month's rent, oftentimes we'll split that sometimes with a town to help offset those things. And people really do come first, and then we obviously get them enrolled in other things. We are expanding. I do know we are expanding our early child care, early Head Start child care partnership, which is expanding our Head Start program with child cares. And I don't know the exact name, but there is a family-based daycare up in this area that we're looking to partner and expand with to be able to provide services to people in New Durham. So we have a lot going on. I could talk and talk and talk, but I will.
So I'll open it up to questions from the committee.
Yeah, I noticed you got a program here on senior transportation, and New Durham has 0. Is there a reason for that? We're out of the route, or what?
Yep, you know, we looked at trying to expand the route. Our senior transportation is door-to-door service and being able to, but sometimes that one person can be a whole hour drive, round trip, and throws your route off. We've been trying to find
How does it work? I mean,
you call our 81, our number, it's 817 something.
Taxi, come pick me up.
Yeah, come pick me up. We look at where they are on the route. We're looking at how we're trying to expand in the northern part of the county. We have very few people we found in the northern part of the county who ask for that service. Right. However, we keep looking for ways to, we come to Farmington, that's as north as we've been able to get to Farmington, but we're looking at how to expand that. That program is going to be severely cut by the state of New Hampshire, so we're hoping that we're going to be able to maintain that program. Okay. It's about 10,000 rides a year for people to help remain independent.
I know that Jen spoke on behalf of Laura. Taking off my budget hat, I'd like to speak on behalf of the food pantry. CAP does oversee and run the federal food distribution program. The food is obviously free from the federal government, but the work that goes into organizing, taking the orders, getting orders ready for delivery, getting them all set up for pickup, is a significant benefit to the New Durham Food Pantry, which in turn means that Laura's not paying out money for people for food. Mm-hmm. Some people, I did question previously why we had 13 people getting food, and it comes down to the usual. Some people just don't want to be seen in New Durham going to the New Durham Food Pantry because we do not do deliveries. Mm-hmm. So they'll go to another community, in this case to CAP. But I would strongly support funding CAP.
And our food distribution is one of my favorite things. Have you guys ever been there? It's in Barnsley Cinema, a big 18-wheeler rolls in. We do about 50 to 80,000 pounds of food. Gets pushed out in about an hour and 45 minutes. It's amazing what it does. And if you need corn, boy, we get a shipment of corn coming in. So but it's one of the things that actually we do not get reimbursed for. And so when we look for municipal donations, in fact, every municipality supports us. Farmington Support is giving us through their Farmington Child Care through a free building. But that's what it goes to offset. I'm a big advocate for nutrition. I don't think anyone should go hungry. If they're going hungry, we need to find out why they're going hungry. And when we do the emergency food distribution, that goes to 17 food pantries, shelters and soup kitchens here in the county, and so it's a lot of food that we manage that.
Okay. Any other, yes, Mr. Bickford?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My concern is, like many of these organizations, is that how many layers of government are we going to go to and get funding from? The vast majority of the money for the CAP programs, I believe, is from the federal government. Does that sound right?
It is, and I can tell you that, I'm just gonna pull up my email that I have here, actually.
And I know the
Part.
more money you have, the more, of course, you can do. But if we were not to make a donation, does that mean the food pantry in New Durham would go without food?
Yes, possibility, because what happens.
Now, would it, or excuse me, possibility?
There's a possibility, and the reason why is because there used to be a time when something would fund us 100%, and then a grant. Then they pulled back and said, we're gonna fund you, and you can have a match of 10%. And the match became 20% and 25%, so depending on which grant, funding formula, we are required to get an in-kind match. That is what all of our municipal funding goes to, is our in-kind match. So with the exception of fuel assistance, which I should tell you, we operate and distribute to 3,600 homes on an administrative budget of $288,000. That doesn't even cover it. My food pantry, when you come in and you meet Becca at the Farmington office, working a reception, her time for covering the food pantry, I have to make that up when it comes to local donations, because you can't cover it with fuel assistance funding. Head Start, I do almost $1 million in in-kind donations that I'm required to for my budget. It's a large budget, but I have to get in-kind. That's what your money goes for, and if I don't have that, I don't get the grant. And commodity food distribution and food pantries, absolutely no federal funding for that at all.
There's no federal funding for that?
Nope. The commodity foods.
They give you the food.
They give us the food.
They give you the food, they don't pay for you to distribute it.
They don't pay for the distribution, so that is out of.
Distribution.
Yep, that is out of the.
Store it,
Mm-hmm.
transport it.
There is a small grant that goes to community action in Concord. It's $100,000. The food's distributed from there 6 times a year. When there's sometimes it's flush, it can go out some more. They pay for all the tractor trailer trucks, and it's done through volunteers from the town of Barrington, and then all the volunteers who come down and distribute it. And then I pay my coordinator out of my local donations and my funding. There's no federal funding to support that, or my food pantries. So yeah, if I didn't get funding for this, things will have to be cut in that.
Is there a leverage? I was always told this is about leverage.
Yeah.
I never could understand that.
That's a match.
That's the match.
That's a match. So I'll give you an example for weatherization. We weatherized one home. When we weatherize a home with Department of Energy money, we are required to leverage that with local funds or utility funds. And so I get money to be able to help support 15 emergency home repairs, which is when your furnace goes.
Who gave you the money?
That's from the Office of Energy and Planning with their home heating repair program.
Right.
So distribute 15 of those throughout the entire county. So what we do is we take local funding and matches, and we're able to offset that. So I'm able to say, well, I've got money from unrestricted donations that I'm able to apply back, and if I can get someone a furnace, then I can leverage other money to go up against that. That's what we do. We leverage all of our money. The only program we don't leverage is fuel assistance, but even with that, I don't have enough to cover it.
It sounds more like a replacement. If I have money come in, or if I have money go out, I'll have the same amount of money of in-kind to use.
Nope.
Not equal?
No, so an average weatherization is $6,500, and when someone needs a new furnace and it's not covered because the weatherization funds or the home heating repair funds are gone, but it makes no sense to weatherize someone's home, because when you put in a new furnace, you want to weatherize the home to that new furnace. If I don't have any money to put that furnace in, there's no use of weatherizing the home, so we will look for unrestricted dollars when the money runs out. So I only can do 15 furnaces a year, distributed throughout all of Stratford County. They're usually gone. The money comes in September, by October 15th, they're all gone. But if I had a home in New Durham, for example, where we could weatherize the home, but it needs a new furnace, and I have no more funding to pay for that, now I have unrestricted dollars that I can go and leverage that and make that house whole, versus no heat at all.
Well, so you need a weatherized home in order to put a furnace in.
Right, so if you, one of the things that we do with weatherization is look at their furnace and the efficiency of the furnace. So if their furnace isn't working, we don't know to what measures to weatherize the home to. You have to have a working furnace to be able to weatherize the home to those measures and those things. And then because I have such little amount of furnace repair and replacement, I usually have to go find extra money. Because they'll say, I got a family of 5, we got 3 kids, you know, under the age of 6, they literally have no heat. We actually just provided one person, not in this area, we provided them space heaters for 3 weeks until we're able to get funding to come in. That's what this funding goes towards. It's the unrestricted that we're able to leverage.
Okay.
That's just that's one example.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's really, sometimes it can be a shell game of trying to find the money to make sure to put in, and that's when sometimes we'll call welfare and say, look, this person has, you know, these stairs have to be made safe, and we use the Fix It program, we use the home program, we use volunteers, we connect with churches. We may say, we need to fix these stairs, or remove an oil tank and our funds can't cover it, can you come in and do that? And those are all the things that we do to help make someone whole. One time we found a beehive, I'm not kidding you, that was the size of these tables, and we couldn't weatherize the home until the beehive was removed. And that was up in this area actually, so we had to go find, you ever try and find a beehive to get rid of those things? So it's those kind of things that we do to help make people whole, because people can't afford it. It's
But I
things
think
like
there's
that.
another place for
But
funding
you-
we may not have.
now you may get
taxation.
A call from New Durham, so
Yeah.
on, but you may not also, so the money would go in, it really goes into a fund that gets distributed from.
It goes into
Where-
different.
And it's all Stratford County, right?
It's all Trafford County. However, though, when I look at municipal donations, it does go to support, you know, work that we have in municipalities. So if we're falling short, so if we, you know, holiday food baskets, we actually do have donors from New Durham that restrict it to just New Durham residents.
Oh, yeah.
So we.
Tony probably,
I don't know, his mom went to Cornerstone, I don't know what's going on with that. There we go, so, but we absolutely have the funds in honor, and we, if someone says this is only to be used for this, this is what we use it for, we have that ability, and we always do. So, we respect that for donors.
Okay, well,
And if you should come on my board,
we,
then you can be my champion. Listen, have fun.
That would be a conversion.
Come It's not my first time coming here. I've been around for a while. All right, yes. Anyways, all right. So not you. I'm taking Tony. But anyways, yeah.
okay, with that, thank you for
Okay,
the laugh,
thank
we
you very
needed
much.
it. But
All
we need to move on if there are not any other questions or comments or anything. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Good luck.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So now, what would the budget committee like to do?
I have a copy of A&R.
Are you guys going to talk about it?
yeah, give it to Tony.
We need to talk about the whole account.
I'll take it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is, we'll
Yeah.
decide it in the next benefit.
He needs tax deductions.
Did you want one?
You get it, plenty of them.
I don't know that there's plenty, but.
I have more. Do you want more?
Sure.
I have some.
Sure. You can give it to us after, you don't have to take the time right now. I'd like to keep moving because I would like to try to stay on schedule as much as possible. We're doing pretty well, I think.
Don't jinx it, Kathy.
For the health and others agencies, 4115, okay, the department request had been $5,042. The Board of Selectmen has approved $3,042. Now, with what we've heard and everything, what is the desire of the budget committee? What would we like to do? I know Mr. Curry, yes, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to plus that up to 6,500 on the account and dispersed as follows. VNA expenses 1,800, cap expenses 2,000, homemakers 1,200, it's just to round that up. I'd like to add the Kingswood Youth Center for 1,500. That amounts to 6,500. Just remind everybody, we just saved 1,500 out of the library budget and 500 from welfare, that for fuel assistance actually. So I think we know where that 500 is, could be used, so. That's my pitch, I'm sticking with it.
I would have done the same thing.
Well, the Kingswood Youth Center asked for 3,000, didn't they?
Yeah,
Or was it
Yes, they
one
did.
thirty?
recommending 1,500.
But we usually give them 0, so I think 1,500 is a good start.
It's a
Good
good start.
start.
Yeah, I think they said that they'd be happy with
Anything.
Anything, yeah. The
I
other
agree.
thing that I would like to put out there too is, I am aware that there's the Shirley Timber Trust Fund, which has been used in past history for this town to raise through appropriations at town meeting to help cover these donated costs, which would allow us to support this without raising taxpayers' money. I would like that to be looked into, please. We have done it in the past. And if some of this portion could be paid that way, I would like to see that implemented if possible. That would be a plea I throw out there.
I do know that Laura has been utilizing that fund on and off over the last couple of years to stretch mortgage payments and some of the other items in her budget.
But there's some money in there for
There is.
that. So I would like to have it looked at to see,
Well, the one that-
Which one was that?
it's the Shirley Timber Trust Fund, it's called.
And I think
Well,
we
there's
should
another
all,
trust fund,
There's a
There's a
separate
couple
just
of,
for
charitable
children, to
trust.
use for children activities, specific to New Durham children, so they have to
but the Kingswood would qualify.
find some way to,
The Kingswood would qualify, that's children.
And it's.
well, you can't dump it into a whole big area, you know, something that serves a whole lot of different towns, unless you can specify that,
I
you know, what New Durham gets out of that.
I would
The
agree
way I
with
read the
David,
fund anyway.
because I believe that
Benefits
that fund
children.
could be used for, say, to offset some of the cost of
All
taxes.
right, well,
But
in
anyway,
any case, that's how to pay for
that's
it.
what I
but
would
You gotta
like to-
authorize the expenditure,
Yep.
so, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to fund help in other agencies, account 4415, in the amount of $6,500.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Wait a second, let's have the
Okay,
second before we
Oh,
do
get the big
that.
spender here.
Yeah.
This
I was
just,
gonna double it.
this floors me, Tony, I'm
I know.
not sure I can handle
Oh,
this.
believe me, for these kind of things, I'll write the check any day.
Ooh, there you
When I
go.
see, you know.
There you go, ladies,
There you
there's
go.
your board member right there.
So,
That's leverage, Tony, that's leverage, you put in whatever the town
all right, folks, okay.
Love these kind of things.
Made and seconded?
All right, so we
tax
have,
deduction, right?
we have a motion on the table for health agencies, 4115 in the amount of $6,500. Motion was made by Dave Curry, second by Tony Bonanno. And that just has thrown me.
I do have a good side.
Any further discussion?
6,500.
I would like to make,
6,500.
65.
I would like to
65.
make an amendment. When you add up the numbers that you gave, Dave,
Yeah?
it comes to $6,547.
He
No,
did-
because he
Oh.
rounded.
He
No, I rounded it.
Are
He
you going
rounded
to
it to
round the V&A
1,800
to?
for
2,000.
V&A to
No.
1,800 even.
Okay, I'll state what the amounts were again. 1,800 for V&A, 2,000 for CAP, 1,200 for homemakers, 1,500 for,
And it came to
KYC.
6,500, yeah.
I was using the, I didn't have 1,800.
Okay, all right. So are we all set? Is the amendment gonna drop?
There'll be no amendment now that I have the right numbers.
Okay, all right. Any additional discussion? If not, I'm gonna call for the vote. Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Holy cow. I just, whew.
I know, right? Crazy.
Wow.
I know, maybe
Thank
I'll
you
have a
very
check
much.
if the ambulance ready for the coroner instead of
Okay.
There you go.
Kristen, we'll be in touch.
I will, I'll do that.
Yes, absolutely, thank you guys very much.
All right, now we have the fire department, account number 4220.
Chief? Coming up front?
Yep,
I guess.
and I'm hoping that he has some handouts for us.
I do,
Yay!
I do.
We're gonna go over the fire department. Will you also be presenting emergency management, building code, and health officer?
I'll be doing emergency management, building, and health.
Okay.
Are you gonna present Border Street tonight? Because Dave Stewart is not present.
I know he's not here. I wasn't prepared to, but I probably can.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's similar.
Let me get this stuff handed out, we'll get distracted here.
Sure. Okay, is everybody all set?
What I did is I put together a graph of the runs for 5 years, because normally we do a 3-year projection. But we had 2 bad years here, that we, and I couldn't.
Oh, there goes his mic.
Don't destroy the property.
That doesn't sound really nice.
That's okay.
Zombie.
For all you people at home,
Wake up!
that chief did it.
Yeah.
And then, if you want a breakdown, what I did is I did break down everything by the year out of Firehouse, and each one of these packets is a year. If you want to,
Can we help you distribute that while
yeah,
you?
if you want to go through those, and everybody take one out of each packet, that'll give you the year's worth. 5 years worth of runs, and what the runs, the makeup of the runs are, that's a breakdown of all.
Start them on this end. Wow. Yeah, start them on this end.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
They're not the same.
They're not correlated.
Ambulance. And that would
Get in your way.
10 per block. Peter, 10 per block?
What's that?
10 per
We're
block?
getting one each.
10 runs per block on the yard?
Yeah, I can give you the totals, I was gonna put them on there, and I did. For 2011, it's 338, if you wanna write them on top of the other. When you get ready, I can.
Well, let us capture.
Yeah.
There's more coming.
Yeah,
All the different.
these are you.
Oh, for God's sakes.
They're all different.
What is this?
Just take one and pass it on.
11, 12, and 13 are coming.
Just pass on.
Take one and pass
If I had got back in time, I would have had them all in the box.
2012,
Put all the aces with the aces.
2013.
I came short on 2011.
How are these generated, chief? How do you make these reports?
These reports,
Yeah,
these come out of a Firehouse software that we run at the fire station.
okay, that's what I wanted to know. I remember hearing about this and I was
Yeah.
saying, so,
And we generate just about anything we want, we just have to ask it the right questions.
yeah.
Do you have a
So
roster
somebody's learned how to do that now, right?
in the pay?
Somebody learned how to do that?
Do you have a current roster in the pay scale?
Just a minute. We may have here. I think we did run that off too. While I'm looking for that, you have a question, Dave?
No, I'm scanning.
I've seen through a block of pocket information.
So, what's a good intent call?
A good intent call is somebody calls for a smoke investigation or something, you can't find anything.
Yeah.
I thought I had that. Lost it. I'm sorry, Kathy.
Okay.
Let's see it here. There's 19 members as of right now, and the pay scale varies, I don't have that, but I can get that to you.
19 active?
We have 19 members,
Do you
yes.
want me to,
Most of the,
just give me a second.
How many are in EMS?
how many of those EMS, I think, out of the 19, I think 13,
Are EMS qualified at some level?
at some level, yes.
Thank you for the information you have provided.
On that sheet, Terry, if you want the numbers, I can give you the numbers for each year, help you.
I got a question. How'd you get the numbers in the year 2017?
No, that's projected.
Okay.
That's projected. For 2011, it was 338,
How much?
338 runs,
Okay.
total runs. For 2012, it was 369 runs. 2013 was 370 runs.
I'm sorry, Peter, I'm not, oh, now I think I see. I'm trying to look where you're looking.
Dave, on your, I was just getting so you could fill in on the graph. I should have put them on the graph, and I didn't. I thought I'd afterwards.
2014?
If you don't mind, go back to 2011.
2011 was 338. You want to write that in there at the top?
Oh, I need to write that in?
You can, yeah.
338, okay.
338. 2012 was 369.
Yeah.
2013 is 370.
370.
370, yes.
Mhm.
2014 is 283.
283.
283. And 2015 would have been 278. And 2016, as of this date, we've still got, I think this is back 1 week. So we've got a week and a month left in this quarter. We're at 316 this year.
And how many are you projecting for 2017?
340.
I would think, we would think, as this year climbs, that projection will go up. But we're coming into a busy season right now between auto accidents and chimney fires
Yeah,
and whatnot.
38, 340.
340, yeah.
We're,
Just eyeballing it
I
in
agree.
there. Good quality.
but, and the reason I did this is I wanted to show, normally we look at 3 years, well, we've got 2 years there that are very poor, and I don't know whether it was, they weren't doing the login right for the program, getting every single run into it, because it's a diligent task to make sure that you put every run into the program. And for part of both of those years, I wasn't here, so I don't know what actually transpired. So,
Now, does this call roster include mutual aid calls where you would have been called to another town or to respond an ambulance to another town?
that,
That's all in here
that's in
too?
it. If you look, you'll see it, it'll have mutual aid, it has, let me give you an example, grass fires. It was 2015. That special outside fires, I think that's running mutual aid calls for that. I'm not sure now.
Mhm.
I'll have to ask because it would be a mutual aid call in each category. If we would call for ambulance service, it would fall under EMS. And I don't see it out there as explicitly called out, and I don't know that. I'm not even sure in the software when we log it in as an outside agency.
Okay. But that would be in there, that is, it is
It's
in
included
there?
in the total run.
Yeah, okay. That's what I wanted to know, okay. All right. Okay. So are we getting some more information?
Sounds
Okay.
good. On the
Yeah.
handouts, can I just ask one question? Under the emergency category on these annual reports you gave us, under the emergency
Yeah.
section, I don't understand some of these definitions. We've got EMS call, for example, in 2016, you made 149 of them, versus a medical assist rate. What's an EMS call?
Okay,
Is that when you leave the building, or?
Yeah, when we leave the building, an EMS call, depends. If you look at rescue medical emergencies, that includes if we have, through the ice, cold water rescue,
Oh, yeah,
low angle rescue,
okay.
could
Yeah,
be
under rescue.
any one of those categories there. If you see, so EMS incident would be that the ambulance went out. It may not have transported, but the ambulance was requested, it went out.
So 149 times this year, the ambulance has gone out on what you're classifying an EMS call?
Yes.
Okay.
And I shouldn't even say 9 times out of 10, probably 30% of the time, it's a billable call, maybe.
No,
Well, whatever.
Not even that.
maybe
Thought that was high.
15%.
Well, that's what we're collecting on, right?
No, that's what Comstar's bill.
About 15%?
But I would say 15%. If we're talking 149, yes, about
About
15%.
15% of actual
Yeah.
billable calls. It
Okay.
means that we actually transported somebody to the hospital.
Never would've
Now,
guessed
also,
going out that much.
we have to take out the fact that if we do an intercept with Frisbee, we don't bill. It doesn't come through our building, it goes through there. So some of those would be intercepts that we
But
lost.
that happens maybe 10 times a year. And I think the important thing to keep in mind with some of this firehouse data is, it's only as good as the person putting it in. Everybody puts it in a little bit differently, everyone classifies the call a little bit differently,
Well-
so it's not necessarily 100% across the board. There's definitely some gray areas in the firehouse reporting.
We've got,
We
always
have,
have.
we have more information than we've ever had, so.
Certainly.
what I can tell you is that I have one person that does this, and he's the one that actually, so I don't get a lot of variances anymore like we used
Right,
to.
that's the secret of success.
By not letting everybody fill in.
There's one umpire, they go
Yep.
call the same,
Yeah,
as
we
long as you
tried,
can stand.
yeah, we tried it the way, let everybody put it in, but it was just too confusing sometimes. So now it's all kept on paper and somebody does the data entry.
Did you get the other sheet? So can I explain the two sheets I just handed out real quick? Sorry, Chief, can I interrupt? So this one is the, just the black and white one is the roster, though I am missing one new guy who just started. So this is the current roster and shows also their kind of level where they are, whether they're a chief or a fire officer. That second one shows their rate of pay and including the raises. So I actually pulled that from our raise spreadsheet. So that shows where they are, what they were at for a level of pay, and what their raises just went to.
Who's missing, Russell?
So the
Russell, I
new,
think.
the new rate is current, and that's what's in this budget?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Before you begin, Chief, I just need to go through a formality here that we've decided to do. We are looking at 4220 fire department, and the fire department's budget request is in the amount of $221,145. The Board of Selectmen have approved $221,270. Okay, the floor is yours. What we'd like you to do, Chief, is just go through each of the line items, just summarize and a little bit about the background of your request. Things you don't have control over, we can just kind of go quickly over those. If we have any questions, we'll just stop you and ask our question, okay?
Okay, we'll start top of the list, fire prevention.
We will.
That is used to buy material for the school for fire prevention week. For all the grades, I think we do 1 through 6, 1 through 16.
K through 6.
Yeah, okay. Now they do they have preschool now?
Yes. Yes. Do they do preschool?
They might have done, it seems to me I
Yes.
saw some awful young stuff.
No, the preschool went over to the fire department. I don't know if they
Oh,
did it
okay.
at the school.
Oh, they did hand stuff out to the preschoolers at the fire station.
All right,
So, that's what that covers, that's pretty reasonable cost, I think.
okay.
Actually, that went down in 2016, but we had, because the number of students, we ended up overspending that on. The admin day position, that covers myself, and actually right about now, that might just be covering the chief. It does some, if I've got any surplus in there, it goes to other administrative costs.
That should have your hourly.
Because that varies. Actually, it isn't gonna vary anymore, it's pretty, it's solid.
It's a standard, it's a set
Oh, I see
position.
what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so that won't vary that much anymore. The fire department administration is, been zeroed, that line's been zeroed out. I mean, probably take that off rather than run that. We'll keep that line in there. It's off. The part-time secretarial is the person doing payroll. We keep that same person, that individual doing payroll, that individual keeping the log up, so that we don't have to have a whole bunch of, so.
How many hours a week is that?
It varies, payroll week, it's more than it is other weeks, I think, I'm not sure.
How did you do, what figure did you use for your budget? What number of hours did you use for your budget?
6 hours per week.
Yeah, about 6 per week.
16 a week?
6 per week.
Six. Is that one of your,
Yeah, that's
one of the guys?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
When you keep,
You don't wanna say who it is?
what's that?
No.
I don't care.
Hold on, he is at 1704. When he asked how much his rate of pay was.
Thank you.
I'll add that in this
Yeah.
line as well.
The other,
All right, go on to dispatch.
Okay, the dispatch service is, of course, is Stratford County. I don't know.
I see.
Pretty reasonable, I mean, compared to what we were paying at Lake Treason. I am responding, Stratford County and I am responding to breakdowns that they have. One
Mhm.
Stratford County dispatch. I am responding is the thing we have on all our smartphones. What it does, it texts us the information on the run. So not only do we get it on our pages, but if we're out of range, say I'm up in Laconia, I still get a text message on what's going on in town for the fire department. And I also can see who's responding. Because when they pick their phone up, they just hit a button and it tells me, it sends a message out that they responded. So I know how many respondents there are on the call, even if I'm not.
And that contract gets split with Farmington annually, right?
Yes.
So this amount is half of what the actual contract is, so we split it evenly with Farmington.
Okay, telephone.
Telephone. Pretty self-explanatory, we use it for communication with the outside world. The ambulance phone is a cell phone that we have in the ambulance. We need it for data to send the heart monitor information to the hospital. So that they have it ahead of us getting there. Or if they have something they want us to do prior to getting to the hospital, by them looking at the strip's what we run off of the heart rhythm. They may say, we want this done.
That's done on the phone.
Yeah, that's all done on telephone.
So you're back.
They've been doing it down on the phone for years and years and
Yeah.
years.
I guess it's better than nothing, right?
Well,
When real emergency phones get clogged up, that's what I'm
yeah, I think Frisbee this year is putting in another system that we can use. And in our the new ambulance, the new defibrillator will come with that additional feature, so that we don't have to use a telephone anymore. We'll still have a phone bill, but instead of going through a regular phone system,
Yeah.
it's just data only, so it's a better.
Still a cell tower.
Yeah,
You're using what is it now, like a cell phone?
it's just a regular cell phone, yep. It's plugged in with that little micro USB port.
Right.
So it's in-
Yeah, it used to go on a modem, I can remember that.
All right, sorry.
Yeah,
No problem.
hazardous material.
Hazardous materials is, this year we had, we had the airplane accident on the lake. We used about, we burnt $8,000 worth of booms for that incident. Now, we buy a little bit every year, and as long as I've been on the department, we've never used those booms. It's very seldom. We've used them once in a while, but one or two at a time only. This time we used up everything we had, so I had to restock. So I only restocked a few of them, and we're gonna build them up again. Hopefully, every time, in another 10 years, we might need all those booms again. But
Could you bill that at all to his insurance company?
we're trying to bill it to the insurance company. The insurance company's kind of barking at it. They wanted to see the town's requirements on billing, and I said it's a state requirement. And so I pulled the state license up on them, and I sent it to them, and I haven't heard back. That was, when did that happen? July?
It was in the early summer.
Yeah, in July sometime. So hopefully we'll see that back. And if it does, of course, it goes in the general fund. It doesn't come back to us, so.
Dues and fees.
Dues and fees are NFPA membership, code updates, and bulletins. We get a fire prevention, a fire investigation bulletin. It keeps us up on new code changes and some litigation that might come up in other communities so that we don't repeat the same, or make the same mistake and end up in litigation.
Can you give me back any money on that? You've only spent $175 so far this year.
Yeah, but I think,
Well, because you only paid the NFPA, you haven't paid the others.
yeah, I think the NFPA is due, when that comes up,
The others.
I may have already had a bill on that. I might have sent the bill in. I don't know if these have all been processed.
42, 20, 10, 5, 60. Well, this is through last week.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking if you can give anything back. Because you only spent $175.
Yeah.
It looks like you only spent for the membership dues, not for the code updates.
Well, no, it doesn't.
I don't know that, so that's why I'm asking.
I think what I did, I think what I might have done this year for you is because the building department buys identical codes. So I think what I did is I bought one set. I think the building department, Laura's not here, is she?
I know you did.
Yeah, we bought them from the building department, so I said it was, I didn't want to buy it.
Are you
Two
using the CD version? Or are you doing the text, the hard copies?
No, I'm not doing hard copies, it's subscription.
Okay.
So then you don't need that?
I don't buy the full subscription, Terry. I only buy,
You buy the sections?
I buy the sections I need, and I have access to the full, Farmington does the full subscription in hard copy. So if I have, I can go down there and I copy off anything I want down there.
So you don't need that because you've got it out of another budget.
Well, I got it out of building department, but if the building department and the fire department don't stay close
Right.
together, they're both will need separate
Well,
programs.
that's what I was just.
I saved you money this past year, by doing that, but that don't necessarily mean that's gonna happen
I
next year.
personally would leave it in.
Scott just confirmed it is only the NFPA that's come out of that account.
That's right,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's-
So we're taking it out of there, or?
That's all right.
Well, what about the bulletins and that, you haven't,
The bulletins actually, that came in this year, but because we're running over on budget on payroll, I held back on a lot of this stuff that I call incidentals. I mean, they're nice to have, but they're not necessary. They're not statutory obligations like I have with maintaining equipment and training and stuff. So I kind of let those slip through the cracks so that my bottom line looks better. So I don't want to drain the account and go over. I'm still, I think we're still in the,
Getting tight, buddy.
I know it's getting tight.
all right,
So-
well, you're on notice for next year.
I'll spend it next year. Well, I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes next year, because we're gonna be tight next year too, with the budget that's proposed.
All right, go ahead, on to the next one.
Okay, next one is, office supplies, those are rather self-explanatory. Pencils, paper, ink cartridges, you know, the whole gamut of office supplies that covers. Software maintenance is e-dispatch, and Firehouse software, those are the two software programs that we run all the time. If you notice, you go in the fire station, you see the big screen TV on the upper S4 wall, that is that e-dispatch. That's the same, I'm responding, the other program we use on our phones reports to that.
Okay, why does the sum of the parts not equal the total? In other words, it says here e-dispatch is 800,
Yep,
firehouse is 800, that's 1,600.
yep. And we have 1,800. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what it was last year.
That's what it was last year?
To date,
So can we take it down to 16?
You can, but the budget's tight.
yeah, as of November 9th.
Well, that's for next year, not this year.
As of November 9th, 1584 had been spent, so 1,600.
Change it. Minus 200.
So 1,600 there, okay. Postage,
Postage, yeah, that's, we haven't sent a lot out in postage.
$2.
yeah, $2.
I'm not sure that it's getting coded right over here, because it goes through that machine,
Yeah.
and if I don't do it,
I haven't pulled it since September, so if a lot's gone out
Well,
since September.
sometimes Laura, I'll hand stuff to Laura mail. or she'll
Yeah,
take
and
care
who
of it.
knows where she's put
Who
it.
knows where it's going?
It's
Yeah,
incidental.
radio,
Radio equipment is replacement, repair radios and pages. That one this year, again, we're holding off on because of my budget, so I'm already over on payroll. I've been over on payroll for a couple of weeks now. So,
What is Peter, you have 4 new pages for only $500?
well, I pulled them off, I gave you the information on those.
Yeah, because I think I saw it higher.
Yeah, they were on sale. And if we wait for a sale, we can get a deal on them. And if I don't buy the Minotaur 5s or the recording ones, they're a little cheaper too. And, I think I'd give it to the packet. I'm not
You
sure.
gave us the Kenwood, but I didn't see a price.
Kenwood was the portables, those are quite a
Is that-
bit less expensive than the Motorola's.
You gave us the Kenwood, but you didn't give us the pager.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have it here. But you know me, I'll wait for a sale.
I-
Um,
Radio,
But on the radios, they are Kenwoods. Kenwoods are probably half the cost of the Motorola's. In the reports I'm getting back, we did have Kenwoods at one time, quite a few years back. We had Kenwood base station too. They functioned remarkably well for us. We had no issues with them. So I'm thinking that just due to the cost of the more rollers now, we're gonna go back to the Kenwoods. We're not gonna get 300 channel radios for that price, which is what we have now. But, you know, that was part of that interoperability that the government came out with and gave us a grant for. So we're not replacing them with the same quality radio that we have, channel-wise, but more than adequate for the town of Durham.
Do you have any outstanding bills for radio equipment?
Radio equipment, I don't believe so.
I don't know what you bought for $227, but
Might have been just maintenance, it might have been a repair, or something like that, I'm not what the cost, exact expenditure was.
Maintenance is coming out of that line too,
Radio
okay.
maintenance.
Maybe maintenance, yeah, could have been repair, we sent out, may have been batteries for the pages,
Yep.
those are out of that line.
We're good.
And again, I'm holding the guys off on that line because right now I'm watching my bottom line, so these numbers this year are gonna be, I'm leaving in there to cover the bottom line, so I don't go over.
Okay, vehicle fuel,
Vehicle fuel, that's,
100 gallons at the new rate of 250, which we had established.
yeah,
What accounts for the increase that the Board of Selectmen have there?
As far as the change in the.
Yeah, they bumped it by what looks like about
The
300.
difference was in the fuel. The budget committee reduced the fuel amounts to $2.50 a gallon,
Okay.
we were at $2.75.
So
They didn't, we didn't.
the estimated
They
cost
haven't looked at it
reduced.
yet.
Okay,
They
got
haven't
it.
revisited, okay. All right, vehicle maintenance,
vehicle maintenance, that's a tough one. If you look down, it's a big section here, if you wanna look down, this is, we know what we have to do. And hopefully, the command vehicle, if we've got money in there for that, and that's to, if we don't replace the one we have now, which I'm thinking we can get another year out of that one, the one we have, one I'm running now. We got a few little issues with it, but I think it will make another year.
It hasn't rusted at all?
Actually, no, it's doing a lot better
What's
than the other
what's
one.
the CIP up for?
It was supposed to be replaced last year. But,
Last year.
but remember, we swapped out the red one for the white one. So we took the old police cruiser, and I'm running that now. And that's actually, that just hit 100,000. So, I guess 99, something, that's what's gonna hit 100.
That's the command vehicle.
Yeah, so if we say we can get 120,000 out of that, then it'll go another year. There is an engine problem with that though, and every once in a while it skips on me and it'll throw a code, but I just drive it enough and it resets, so I don't know what that, I had it on and we didn't get it down to get the code red on it, so we don't know what it is, but I think it was just a skip. I don't know what that PD had with issues before that, I know they had some, but I haven't seen it. Sometimes when I start, it makes a lot of noise, but I think it's just oil pressure coming up. I don't know why.
And keep in mind, this is being used as the building inspector's
Yeah, it's
primary
been used as
vehicle
a
as
building
well.
inspector vehicle well, so it's, so right now, like I said.
20,000 miles is reasonable.
I think, you know, so we put money in there for it.
I question that too.
Yes, we have.
For the trucks that you have, the type of trucks he has. I mean, look what it was last time, the cost. Because that includes your ambulance too, right?
Yeah, but hopefully we won't have that expense. The new ambulance we're looking at comes with a 10-year warranty on everything. Well, we put that out in the quote, let's see how many people actually come back and compete with each other. We do have one company that can, which includes the electronics and everything, which is remarkable. And then we won't see.
You're paying for it.
Yeah, we won't see a maintenance, other than routine maintenance like tires and oil changes.
So you're not gonna be looking at $8,000?
Oh, God, I hope not.
okay, so
Okay.
This,
we can go on to the next, then we're satisfied, it sounds like.
you good after this whole list?
I'm wondering if we can take money
No, we're not
out.
gonna go through the whole list out.
No, I'm good, no.
No. Inspections, FD inspections, line number 191. Oop, I skipped, never mind, excuse me, I skipped,
Way
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry, let's back up to 190, fire department compensation.
Yep. That is gonna be a tight one,
why are we so far over this year?
because the number runs.
On the run.
runs, we're up to 316 runs from 270, and we used the previous 2 years as a projection, and it wasn't even close. And I'm thinking we're gonna be 350 maybe this year, 360? That's the problem,
317.
maybe, if the rate keeps up. The last couple of weeks have been busy, right? Because we hit the bad weather. So we don't have,
Is that also reflective, when did the new rates go in that weren't budgeted for? When did those go into effect?
These rates? There were some that went in about roughly June, and then there were some new ones in September.
And that was never budgeted for, right?
Well,
Wait a minute.
no, they were in my initial budget that I put in, but just the selectmen and myself, we came back to these to try to keep that 1%, that the budget committee was looking for.
Because based on this, your rate of spending, this year, you're looking at needing almost 73,000 in that line next year, since you're certainly not gonna be able to put up a sign no more runs.
Yeah, we can't do that.
You say you're only asking for 65, and you've already spent 78.
Yeah.
71.
71, I only see 71.
If I may interject here, if we look at the progression on using the past 3 years, it looks like, next year's gonna be quite a bit more. I'm inclined to think that it probably won't be growing at the same rate we are right now, since the last two, because the 2014 and 2015, I don't know if those numbers are really good numbers. I wasn't here, I don't know how they were coding and how they were filling it out. That's unusually low. I'm thinking that the higher years, the previous 3 years before that were so high.
I think they're more than norm.
Yeah, that we had, if you remember, we had Deputy Chief Lockwood here, and he tended to do a lot more service calls and kind of run it.
When I came up with that figure of 73, I was strictly doing it based on call to call. Than what you were spending this year, saying that you're gonna have the same number of calls next year. So if you need the 8,000 in for the ambulance line, that would make up the difference.
And that's what I'm doing now. I'm moving money around inside my budget to keep, stay in the total budget.
I understand that, but what you're asking for, your request is $65,380.
Yep.
That's $380 more than you asked for last year. Okay?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. You've already spent more than that this year.
I agree.
So why are you asking for that?
That was a agreement made with me and the selectmen when we went over the budget.
How can you make an
So
agreement
it's
that
not
you
what
can't
we really
meet?
asked for.
What did you really ask for?
Want to speak on that, Mr. Reed?
That's the point. We'd really like to see what the departments are asking for, and then what the Board of Selectmen says they want to give. And we're not seeing that this year. We're seeing what was agreed upon before you get here.
We try to make it as easy and as,
No, you're making
It's
twisted numbers that way.
deceptive. It's deceptive for us.
Board of Selectmen made no changes to the fire department budget in any of the line items. We accepted it as it was requested.
Yes.
So then it's not an agreement.
Well, it was.
So were you privy to the fact that they had spent 71,000 when you approved it? Probably not, right?
They had not, no, I hadn't had time spent the 71. We weren't over budget at that time, that's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
But we were held within a 1%.
Yep.
And
Well,
that's.
that was a
what we were
guidelines
trying-
issue, that's right.
And may not,
But we
I
also
apologize,
said
it may
they
not have been
justify
with the
it.
selectmen.
Yeah.
The selectmen approved it at the meeting, but the negotiations might have been Scott and I.
All right, so do we want to discuss this now or wait?
1%.
Yeah.
His budget, you know what I mean, that's what I told him.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Unless
We're
they had,
fine.
unless they had, oh my gosh.
Take a
No,
break.
He
we're
didn't have it
fine.
at that time.
We're
So now it's
fine.
showing
I
up.
got oh my gosh now.
Yeah,
So what happens in the fire services, as it does in any other municipality, town, entity, if in fact you have a terrible winter for the highway department, and they spend a lot of money in overtime, and a lot of money in and sand and salt, then that just means that they're not gonna do as much tire in the next year. They're not gonna do as much gravel road maintenance or some other type of function. Very similar in the fire service. If he either spends it on wages for going out and handling calls, then he's not gonna buy any fire hose or, you know, replace
Get new
a
papers.
gas meter or something like that.
And that's what's happening this year, we just
Yeah, but you
deferring
can't live that
costs.
way year to year to year to year.
That's
I
the
think
point
we
of
need to be
budgeting.
realistic about what the cost of compensation is gonna be.
If I see, Terry, if this does the same thing next year as doing this year, obviously we're gonna have to go back and look at that
No, let's,
whole thing.
Okay, so a couple of questions I want to try to
Yep.
figure it out here. Why is truck maintenance in this account?
No.
That was because when we did the truck maintenance account, we put money in for maintenance, but it didn't cover in-house maintenance. I have a certified mechanic, and he does a lot of work in-house for me.
Okay, so that's your oil changes.
And some of that came out of this year, part of that came out of fire suppression, because it's the only line we
I
have.
think it's the same.
Now, you're going, so if you actually take that amount and add it to this year's budget, that you would see what our total cost would be as far as labor goes. So it's hard this year because we couldn't break it out separate.
All right, so I guess what I'm gonna say is, we established an account and the intent was to keep track of fire department vehicle maintenance.
Yep.
Okay, it's line 660. If you're using in-house talent to do some of this,
Yep.
then that's where that $3,500, whatever the hours are, I guess, looks like 250 hours, that's where that ought to be.
Yep.
Doesn't work that way.
It has to be an
Why not?
account number.
Payroll.
It's a payroll.
Because it's
number.
Pay it
payroll.
out in payroll.
That's what it
So it's
is.
a payroll account.
So all this stuff up here is contract account?
No, this is supplies.
Yes, supplies are
Outsourced.
outside contract.
Yeah.
Unanticipated maintenance, I guess. Yeah, I'm seeing rims, I'm seeing inspection, I'm seeing oil filter lube,
Those
that's
are all
kind of what
stuff
he's
you send
doing,
up.
right?
Well, he
That's for
doesn't
the
do that.
material.
I have to send, if I'm doing springs or something, big heavy work.
Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
that's
out.
corner mechanic.
If it's something to do with the fire trucks. that
Oil
he's-
filter and lube, that's something he's doing, right?
No.
I can't do that in-house.
Not on the
It's-
fire
Because
truck.
I have an agreement with DES to keep the floor drains open, but I can't do oil changes in the station because of that.
I see.
If I do, I have to put in a water miser system, which is gonna cost us about $40,000, I think, so. Yeah.
Okay, well, I give up.
Good, moving on.
For me, but it's
Right,
not.
moving
Believe me, if
Sounds
I can
crazy.
find a way to do it.
But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, I'll address this to the budget committee. It would seem to me that, this budget request for compensation is underfunded, under-requested, based on current history. Well, even if you go back to 13, 12, in that vicinity, we had the history here sitting in front of us, probably it would be roughly about 72, 73,000 is my guess.
And we didn't use
Well,
those numbers.
the
to
question
top out.
that I have, and I don't know where we could take it to support and not change the bottom line, and maybe I'm out of line by asking it, but, I'm looking at what you have listed for what you're budgeting to do, brakes and bushings, oil and filter and lubes and all of that. And then the total above is substantially more. It's looking at the command vehicle, you've got a cost in there of $4,337, but you're only allowing $500 for brake and bushings and $150 for oil and lube and $50 for inspection, but you're asking for $4,000.
That's what he spent this year.
No, that's.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, it's such a
Numbers don't add up.
difference.
Yeah, I agree, it does
The
not add
detail.
up as far as the budget's concerned. When I looked at the testing maintenance data that we did, the figures that you have in here as department request, that's what you've spent to date this year, based
No.
on this document.
The ones that I have in for requests, no.
Well, it looks like for the command car, based on this document, you've spent $4,337.28 this year.
Out of whack.
What are you looking at?
That would have been, the paint job and the.
And then you look what he's actually
Yeah,
spent.
that's all,
That would have been this
What I'm
year.
saying,
Yeah,
that
that's
the
what
numbers
he's
we're
expecting.
seeing
Yeah,
here is what's
that's what
been
he's
spent
actually
this
spent.
year.
I wish Neil was here, but he's actually flown out, his job, he had this all
So,
down.
I mean, the
much better
money
than I
is
do.
there.
And he has,
Well, here's,
he had a reason for that on this car,
what's this?
and I don't know.
And
Do you see what the ambulance is?
the ambulance, total for the ambulance, based on this report, I don't know what the date of it was, but then, is $11,108.52.
And I just ran the numbers earlier on the ambulance, and you're just over 12 right now on your expenditures.
Seems like it's the
Everybody's
drivetrain all the
asking for
time.
8.
What's that?
The drivetrain keeps
Or
going.
the air
I
conditioner, or.
have, right now, it's blowing smoke so bad, you think we
But
still
if
want
you're
to.
planning on
Replacing it,
getting,
so.
I mean, assuming that the bids are reasonable, delivery time's what, 90 days,
Oh, I wish, 6 months.
6 months? Is there any possibility of doing a rental if this one dies?
If this one dies, we're gonna have to rent something,
Because,
but that's, I mean, that was what we had. We haven't
But
done
anyway,
that.
that's not for this
but
budget,
try to find
so.
money to
We
go
didn't
into
have
Okay, well,
numbers.
here's another question I got you. You got training in here a couple times. So what's the difference between EMS training, fire training in line 190 and in line 580? You've got EMT training, fire training level 1 and 2. So I guess,
Okay.
I guess a
One
couple of those
them
may
is-
be new
One of them's
guys.
outside instructor's costs.
Which one's which?
I mean, find out.
580 is
You
paying
jumped
for the
ahead on me.
actual trainers and the courses. 190 is only compensation. So now you're actually paying for your guys to be on site here on Saturdays and
No.
Mondays when they do training.
That's to pay for the outside instructors.
In the
No, not in
compensation line,
190.
the FD
Oh,
compensation.
no,
Yeah,
no, it's not, that's
that's
for,
paying for them being here, your
on,
guys.
yeah, that's for, if we have special training on a Saturday, something.
Dave, if you look at line 580, which says fire department training, that's the EMT training, the fire training, that's sending people to the fire academy
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
14 weeks, however many hours, that's sending them to EMT classes for 150. That's just the tuition in that line.
That's right,
And then when they do the training here, that comes out of the
that's
training
right.
lines in 190.
But why is that under compensation then, if that's a contracted service?
No,
Nope, it's
No,
not.
that's
that's
tuition.
not.
Attendees,
But I wanna ask.
wages.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Okay.
paying,
It's wages.
that's wages paying the guys
All right,
on the Monday nights that they're here for training.
okay,
Mandatory trainings,
okay,
all
all
mandatory.
right. Okay,
So I guess I'll go back to what I said before. Those were big numbers that I thought we could either double counted or whatever, and apparently not. So should that compensation line be funded at something like 72, 73,000 next year in anticipation of a workload projected, which is, more regular with
This year.
3 of the previous, 5 years.
If we funded the compensation line at 73,000, that would reflect funding it at this year's rate, to keep it to round numbers.
Without the raises, but we can.
I'm not,
I did it based on
I'm not there,
the tape.
I'm
Yeah.
not there, because of these other numbers,
Well,
yes, so I'm not there.
I think we should
I'm
be cutting the
sorry.
maintenance numbers.
Well, I don't have a problem leaving the numbers there
I
in the
would-
budget, let him do what he needs to do, but I can't see adding more,
because the other numbers aren't
because
really
the other,
that
so,
fixed.
right, yeah. I can't,
Okay.
that's not where I'm
What
at.
he's been trying to tell us.
I can move money around inside the budget.
Yeah,
as I need.
I'm not
We
there to
heard
add
that.
money.
We heard that.
It's just, on the maintenance ones, I don't dare not to right now till we get a handle on this, because this maintenance cost was skyrocketed, it was dumped on us last year. And both the TA at the time, which wasn't Scott, we, it's a wild ass guess, and we were off dramatically, because we didn't anticipate the problems that we had with the trucks.
When we had an equipment mechanic, was he doing the oil changes down at the highway shop?
Yes, everything was done down there, all the
Is there any
little.
reason why your person couldn't take the trucks down to the highway shed to do them?
I don't
There's
know.
been so much change down there.
I'm just thinking something that could be investigated with the new DPW head, because it might save money, and it would keep, you wouldn't have the people having to be paid to bring trucks back and forth to.
Certain trucks didn't fit.
What I've been, yeah, that's true. What I've been doing is when I take it out for the road inspections, because we don't do inspections anymore, I have to take them out for inspections now. I do the oil change and lubes at the time they do the inspection, so it's one visit. And,
Okay.
We don't put enough mileage on the trucks and to do it more than once a year.
What about the command vehicle?
Command vehicle, yeah, I do that myself, so it's, I got a lift in my shop, and I pick that up, I can't pick up the other
You know,
vehicles.
if you change oil here, then you get disposal of oil, it's gonna be dealt with,
All right,
and the purchase of it.
are we ready to move on to line item 191, FD inspections? You've spent nothing and you're asking for 896.
Yeah, the reason that I'm doing that is because we're trying to change the inspection line before I used for like, if Dave Stewart went with me on an inspection, somebody other than myself did the inspections, because it falls under the other administrative duties of mine. And we never, and if you wanna do a fire inspection line, then we should reflect that more accurately. So what I've done is I've tried to break down actually the number of hours that we spend on each inspection and put those in there so you can see what the inspections in the town of Durham are actually costing you and where it's going. Because the way it was before, it said fire inspections, you don't know how many were restaurants, how many were camps, and so forth. So I try to break it down for you here in the school so that we'll see the actual cost of each one of those inspections, because they do vary. One inspection is much more in depth than another. So, you know, what may cost, you know, if I do a wood stove inspection, those still come out of my general duties, because I don't charge people for those anyway. We do wood stove and chimney inspections for free. So, but these here are big enough so that they actually impact the budget. So I thought it would be better representation for you people to know exactly where each school, camp, and everything costs us to do in the restaurant in town.
And these are reimbursable, is that what I'm hearing?
No, these are
So
just.
you have to do other businesses and stuff too.
Yes, we do restaurants, any place in assembly, anybody with 50 people or more. So they have and the state of New Hampshire's gotten out of the inspection business. You know that, Mary?
Yeah, but it's impacting my OPs.
So, last trip over the fire academy, I picked up a little stack of permits, so at least we don't have to have permits printed for a while. But,
Okay, custodial supplies?
custodial supplies are brooms, wash stuff for the cars, you know, all that, soap for our bathrooms,
Okay,
and paper towels, whatever.
training expenses?
Training expenses, those are the,
You kind of hit on that a little bit
yeah, we
already.
did, those are, if I send somebody to EMT or to level one, and we don't always know, you see we have the price there. And average, on the EMT trainings, we average about 3 a year. We do a good one, because right now I've got 2 coming out right now that are gonna fall on next year's budget, because I have to pay it before they'll give them the diploma. So, and then the regular fire training is when they go to fire academy for level 1 or level 2, as you can see. Now that's the training level. So you go to level 1 first, and that's 180 hours now, I think, something like that. And then it gives you kind of basic firefighting skills, and then level 2 takes you to the next level. So you
Okay.
get,
You're advanced.
Okay, uniforms?
what's that?
Uniforms?
Uniforms are, you know, I don't have my on tonight because I came from the State House, but the collared shirts that we wear, I don't like t-shirts. I don't think it looks professional enough. So the polo shirts and stuff with the fire department Maltese cross on it, their names on it, is what that covers. to keep them looking good out in the field. When they go to work on somebody as the medical staff, they gotta kind of look like they're the medical staff and not out of the local garage.
Which runs.
Okay, fire department equipment maintenance.
That's the, small engine, it's the, not the small engines, the pump work on the trucks, the lights, strobes, I mean, everything that needs to be maintained in the department. Other than the radios, we keep the radios separate, and we keep engine and truck maintenance, truck chassis separate. But all the other incidentals are absorbed in there.
Okay.
We haven't had much of that this year.
Nope, we've been holding off, I'm telling you, we're running tight on the budget, so. Wait till we get the compensation lines off, so.
Medical supplies.
Medical supplies, yeah, are everything required to fill the ambulance.
Okay.
The things that we are buying now that we didn't buy before is the nitrox. The hospital doesn't reimburse us that. But that allows us to do pain control down to the AE&T level. Otherwise, we'd have to have a paramedic on board to do pain control. So it's more readily available. Pain control is more readily available to the people that need it. So that cost is in there, the nitrox cost, oxygen, O2 cost.
Can we charge the patient?
We actually can charge for pain control at that level, yes. There is a line on the billing for that. But that goes into the revolving fund and doesn't really come back to the budget.
Fire department equipment.
Fire department equipment, everything listed on there. There's SCBA maintenance, we keep that separate so that we know what the testing maintenance costs on that look like, because then we know when we need to replace them. We're gonna look at replacing them in 5 years. Right now, I've got it set up so that in 5 years, when it comes when everything's gonna be replaced, the only thing I'm gonna have to replace is the air bottles. Those I can't, that's the drop dead date. In 15 years, they're out of service. As far as the air packs go, I brought all the masks up, as last year we brought all the masks up. I've got all the air packs, the backpacks done this year. I had one backpack that was broken, we had to send out and that repaired on the inspection. So actually the face masks, the backpacks are all done. The only thing I'll need to do next year is look at regulators and see if there's any changes in the requirements on regulators. And then we'll be able to keep these when comes time, if we don't get a grant, we're gonna be applying for grants to replace everything. But if we don't, we're not gonna be left behind the 8 ball with a big expense. We're just gonna have to buy bottles in that CIP account that we have for air packs. There's not enough in that account right now to buy air packs, so we have to do it this way so that we work our way up, so that when the time comes, we'll have enough to buy bottles.
Page 740, you said you want 200 foot of 4-inch.
Yep.
You're asking $29.50, but based on the information you provided us, that comes to $18.37.
Yep.
What else?
I hadn't done the hose testing yet, so we threw that in at the last minute because.
Just I'm saying that the information you gave us gives us a different cost than
Yeah.
what you're asking for, so
Yeah.
can we take $1,000 out of there?
Well, at that point, I had 100% of our hose was in service, and I was just we hadn't had it tested yet, we just had our hose tested, and we dropped down some on our hose, we had a couple of failures. So, we can, but then I'll just be able to maintain what we have, I won't have any surplus hose. I'm trying to get a buildup so we have some hose on the rack.
You didn't spend the money yet this year.
Because I want to, but I don't have it.
Well,
I would buy that hose this year, Dave, but I'd go over budget, I'm afraid I'm gonna go over budget.
figure out why.
By taking $1,000 from out of that, for the 4-inch, you're still gonna get 200 foot of it.
Yep. That'll leave you
But
no
he's
spare
saying he
hose.
needs more
There's
than
no
200
spare hose
feet.
if we damage the length. The problem is,
Then what are you planning on buying? Are you planning to buy 400?
I'm gonna see what happens toward the end of the year next year, see where we are budget-wise. That's the kind of stuff we save till the end of the year to buy, so that if I have a major breakdown during the year, I can cover it in the cost of the budget. If I don't, if we go really good all year and I've got that extra money and I can say, yeah, we can spend that on hose, we'll buy hose. But if I don't, I have to use that money, like I may have to this year, to cover payroll, then I won't be able to buy, you know. That's the thing I try to do. These are projections that we just, if you move up, if the payroll line goes up, then we could probably cut back on that, and I wouldn't be so, but the reason I agreed with the TA on the payroll is because I know I could go into other areas and rob money out of those to pay payroll with. If we start cutting those, then I'm gonna lose that little buffer that I think I might have for payroll. Yeah, but if you bring payroll up, then I won't need it.
I'd rather have a realistic number in
Next year,
payroll.
we should have realistic numbers, yeah.
Well, those are, I mean, payroll is a tough one to we project.
Well, see, Chief, you're saying, what you're saying is that you're hiding payroll, at least
No, I'm not.
$1,000 worth of payroll, maybe
No, because
1,100.
I could use that hose. I need that. I could use that hose. There's a difference between, I have to maintain 1,000 feet of hose on a truck in order for it to meet ISO. Okay, if I'm down 200 feet of hose, that truck doesn't, it's not what they call a pumper. It falls below that.
Yeah.
So I have to maintain at least 1,000 feet of hose on each truck. If I lose a couple of lengths of hose,
Yeah.
I need to
You gotta
replace it.
replace it.
If I'm short, if push comes to shove and I don't have the money to buy hose, I won't buy hose. The truck will just fall out of spec until next year. It's not a good thing, but it's the truck's still in service and I've got 800 feet on it rather than 1,000. Doesn't mean the truck can't fight fire, it just doesn't meet the ISO standard. Are we gonna get slapped for that? Probably not. But it's nice when I have, somebody comes in for inspection that the truck meets ISO, so. You know, I mean,
Helps
I don't wanna
everybody's
run
insurance.
If I don't buy the replacement hose when I need it, pretty soon this truck will have 800 feet, another truck will only have 700 feet. You know, well, I don't really need
No, I
that.
understand.
I have to try to maintain a certain standard.
Okay, but the purpose of zero-based budgeting is to be requirements driven.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a plan to rotate equipment, that's what the funding for equipment should be. That's what prompted my question about payroll, is because if all of these are genuine requirements, there's no money hiding around here, then we know, to be responsible, we've got to give you payroll money. But and this is why we're not gonna do it, it's because we feel like it's fudged in all the rest of these. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
But
Point made.
this board knows that whenever I've had surplus, I've always sent it back. I don't.
Oh, I know that.
We know that, but we don't wanna keep raising and appropriating money that is just gonna keep falling back.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the budget process, let's
Right.
get the numbers right the first time, so we're not juggling at the end of it.
Okay, but my point's made.
All right, so let's go on to line item 741, fire department protective equipment.
That's PPE, protective equipment for the guys, their suits, they're wearing,
Okay,
hoods, gloves, boots.
These are for new guys, right?
Personal protect, and we have, this year, I think we've rotated 4 sets out because they expire in 10 years. We have to replace them in 10 years.
Okay.
Or when damaged.
fire janitorial, you've zeroed that out. General maintenance, is that for the building?
Generator maintenance.
Oh, generator, excuse me.
Generator maintenance, that's
Tired.
the meeting.
Thank you, sorry about that, generator.
Let me explain why we zeroed out their janitorial, is the guys said they would clean the room themselves and, during regular.
Oh, are we paying them more to clean it, or?
No, they come in on a Saturday and they work, and they said they'd clean it
So
for
that's
us.
just for the
Yeah,
apparatus.
but they were.
No, they said they do that.
They're being
The
paid,
contract
they're
covers
being
the
paid
town
anyways.
hall, covers the fire station.
Yeah, what's that?
The contract, I believe, covers the community room.
Only
Yeah,
the
but-
community room.
Yeah, covers the community room.
But I've got guys here on Saturdays to write permits, and they're not sitting at the desk writing permits all the time, they have to find busy work for them. And
So
that's,
they're there anyway, so you're.
Yeah. you pay them, I mean, we might as well let them make them sweep the floor or something. They said they
Every
would.
night they used to say that.
Yes, we are
All right.
paying more than you would pay.
Keep going.
Generator
Yeah, but you're paying them
maintenance,
anyway.
yep,
But they
let's
have to
keep
be
going.
there.
Come on.
Generator maintenance, that's the generator outside there. I'm up in the air on that. I don't know, but that's out of warranty now. We kept it in that program under the warranty, but now it's out of warranty. Do we wanna move that over into in-house maintenance and have our mechanic do it, or do we still want? Right now, Caterpillar dealer's coming down and working on that maintenance stuff. I could ask Neil what it would cost us for him to do it.
Well,
Because he doesn't, gotta have oil change again, but that's outside the building, so I can do that.
$660 for your oil change, that's how much it costs us this year at CAT, to have CAT do it,
Yeah.
$660, just the oil change.
Well, there's supposed to be a lot more than
Well,
Voices check, and they check them off and say, this is okay, that's okay.
they did, but they
That's
gave us
really
a list of stuff that needs to be done.
But it's something that needs to be done, and that's really something you should bring to the Board of Selectmen to determine whether to,
Oh, okay.
have done.
Yeah, it's always been there, so I didn't take it out, but I'm thinking that if we get it in-house, we can save a little bit of money.
Yeah, I've always thought those things were outrageous, but what they are is they're guaranteeing that thing's gonna start up.
Yeah,
actually, they're accepting liability.
That's right.
yeah. And as long as it was under warranty, I was 100% behind that, letting them do the work, because if something major happened to it, they would be, but I don't know if the town wants to assume that responsibility or not. That would, I mean, if something major happens to it, is it covered under insurance?
Well, we'd have to,
It's covered
Oh,
under
yeah.
insurance if you blow it up, but if you neglect to take care of it, they're not gonna cover it under insurance.
Yeah, well,
But
you have to check off
You
all
generally
these things
end
that
up-
you've checked that
Yeah.
is working
You're
on.
gonna have somebody that's qualified to work on that machine, not,
Right.
they
Is
have
that
to
the
be-
reasoning for the increase? That's what I wanna know.
All right, well, let's,
Yeah. Is that the reason for the increase?
yes, no, the increase, the price of that maintenance contract goes up. So,
Okay.
We actually was underfunded.
We should look at finding a vendor that services generators, to service the two generators that we actually have.
Are we, both of them under two separate? Right,
Yeah.
because we have a vendor that does that. I think
That's,
it's-
I think
Right.
that's still under warranty down.
Oh, yeah, it's brand new, it's only been there.
Down at the,
Okay, electricity.
Do they service the police station?
Police station's on ours now.
Are they on your?
I had it changed over in the spring.
Electricity, electric.
Lights, keep the furnace running,
Okay.
what else?
so
Electric
are
heat,
you gonna shut
electric
the
heat.
lights out, or you got new lighting in there? That's why it's not gonna be 6360. Because right now, you've got an estimate in here at $530 per month times 12 months, I guess is 6360, is that what it is?
Yeah,
And so you level funded it, so it looks like you're willing to go at least a half a month without any lights.
well, no, we won't go half a month without any lights. They have electric heat in there. We ran electric heat last winter. We put electric heat in the front office.
Yeah?
It's a gear room now, so I'm turning the heat way down, and the gear will be cool, but it won't be hot.
you can always turn the generator.
Light a fire.
I also put the ceiling.
All right,
fans back
sorry
in.
I asked, but, you
But I
know,
also put the ceiling fans back in this year.
Yeah.
From spring, because I found that it was very hot. It would be 80 degrees at the ceiling and only, 40 at the floor.
Yeah.
So we did put in some ceiling fans, so hopefully that'll cut down the amount of time the furnace and the electric heat runs.
we'll see how it works out.
The front room, is that, they did all the construction on, it's not, nothing but a gear room, it's not offices?
No. Never was completed. Never was completed.
All right, oil service propane, 5,500. You got a calculation of 6,000, so same thing.
Same thing, and we don't, that's.
You're gonna
fuel
turn the
cost.
heat down and,
I don't, no, the propane cost runs the generator.
oh, okay.
That, I actually, the generator, hot water heater now, they put on an instant hot water heater.
You've only spent 3,100 so far,
Yeah.
and we've got another month.
Oh, the
And
heating,
you're
the
asking
heating for the,
for-
that also does the heat in the community room, I forgot. It heats the community room, that area, generator and hot water. So we're coming into heating season on that now, so that's,
I'm not worried about the $360.
you'll see that.
Okay. Septic, it's the same as everybody's been doing.
No, it's not. He's got 250, everybody else has done 220.
Oh,
So-
you didn't get a bargain.
Bigger tank.
Huh? So isn't he on the same?
Yes.
So it should be 220, right?
220.
can take $30.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go, feel
We
better?
might need it for wages, eh?
Yeah, I gotta say,
Right.
We're gonna have to preserve some integrity
Make
here.
sure you tell the guy.
Well, we've taken this money already.
If it backs up.
Bathroom anymore.
Move on.
Yeah, move on.
All right, keep going.
Fire
We're on
building,
overtime here.
Fire building maintenance,
we've got a few more to go.
that's, fire building maintenance will be repairing. I've got a louver out there on the side of the building that I gotta replace, and, that just does.
We cut that right down to a bare minimum, because there's a public safety building account, capital reserve account that can be utilized for.
For the
that.
big thing.
This
He
is
does,
just,
he
yeah,
does
this
have
is
some
just,
stuff in there that does need to be done to the building, but in order for him to stay within budget, as requests, yeah, we pull it out.
Fire building supplies. 610.
yes, the, building supplies are, the items like I put the ceiling fans up this past year, and stuff like that. I do what I can to make the building more efficient, and I use that money out of those different accounts to be able to do that. The water,
It's okay. Keep
Yep,
going.
keep going.
As of the beginning of November, the building supplies, you'd already spent over $600.
Fire alarms.
fire alarms are the maintenance for the annual test for the Northeast Security, I think, does that for us.
And then the rest of it is not with your control, correct?
Yeah, FICA, I wish it was in my control, FICA Medicare, yeah.
So what's our new bottom figure with the reductions thus far that we have?
Did we decide to reduce line 635 from 275 to 250?
Which line say?
Line 635 is fire department vehicle fuel. It was budgeted at 275, and I thought we changed everything to 250.
He did, he put it in at 250.
isn't that on the
Oh,
second floor?
Yeah.
I'm working from the one that I did not get tonight, because I haven't had time to look at that.
Exactly.
So it's already
Okay, I think
calculated. So what's the,
Stick with what we got.
So we dropped software
What we
maintenance
got Monday
down
is
to,
different than what we got tonight.
1,600?
down to 1,600. And then let me just go through and make sure you're not missing anything else here.
And we
Just
just took
$30.
We just took
$30.
30, that was it, right?
Yes.
Those are our only changes. Our bottom line is now 229.15.
To what?
$220,915. Lindsay, double checking my
You
math?
might just as well leave it, what,
Yeah.
I'm ready to make a motion.
I'm not. I can't be like,
Twins, I rely on
Make-
you.
can't be like, didn't you say it was?
You're prepared, I'll make a motion to
220,915.
fund account number 4220, which is fire department, in the amount of $221,270. Go ahead. Well, you asked for a second, not me.
Okay, I have a motion on the table to accept the fire department's budget 4220 in the amount of
No,
200.
you did this number here.
That's wrong.
I haven't finished yet, that was account number 4220, in the amount of $221,270. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. I have a motion made by Mr. Bickford for account 4220 in the amount of $221,270, second by Tony Bonanno. Any other discussion?
I feel that some lines are underfunded and some lines are overfunded, and I don't feel comfortable going forward with a budget that we know we're gonna be mixing and matching. We're supposed to be doing zero-based budgeting. We should be doing a budget that adequately reflects what is needed in each of the different account lines.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
I think they've done a good job. Peter and Scott worked on this together and a damn good job to get this thing within 1%. And by to do that, they had to do what they've done. It's just like an insurance company. You it's a big budget, it's got a lot of pieces to it, not a big budget, but it's got a lot of pieces to it. And every one of those pieces is an estimate. And it adds up, and the bottom line is all that matters. And if you think it's under, then when this fails, we can entertain a higher figure then.
And it looks like Peter's doing a pretty good job making it work. So I have no problem with his management skills.
Okay, any other discussion?
Just that, I don't see it, I agree, I don't see it as zero-based budgeting.
Well, I didn't see any of the other ones either myself.
Yeah,
If you really wanna know.
yeah, you look at them all, winging it.
Well, I mean, this does have some zero-based budgeting in it because it itemizes beneath each item. Now, there's been over expenditures for 2016 in some of those accounts. That's not zero-based budgeting as far as that goes. It basically is what you predict and what you estimate for what your expenditures are gonna be establishes your budget. Now, I won't disagree with you that if he has the same call volume and he has the same number of guys running out on his calls, that his salaries or compensation lines are gonna be high like they are right now.
And he
If
better
in
not
fact
come
he-
to us with a lower number next
Right.
year.
If in fact things change and say he doesn't get as many guys out on a call, he's gonna see may see his compensation numbers go down. You know, I mean, I was in the volunteer fire service. Sometimes on a Monday night for a regular training session, you might have 5, 6, 7 guys show up. Another time, everybody happens to be home, it's a holiday, whatever it may be, and you get a dozen, 15, 19 guys there, and you gotta pay them all. That's the difference nowadays compared to what it was in the old days, when everybody was a volunteer. They get $250 for the year, and that was it. And if they came extra, they got a bonus, and something along that line. So that's invariably heavier. The only other way you can try to control some of these costs is to try to work to schedule people for certain coverages. Now, you're running an EMS service, you know, I mean, and Peter and I have talked about this, you know, about ways to control cost, as far as him saying, okay, you know, Dave, you and Kathy have got it for the next 4 days, and you promised to be around enough so you can run out to grab the ambulance and cover it, and you both happen to be semi-retired, and you say, yeah, no problem, I'll cover that for you, Pete. Sometimes you don't have that luxury of being able to do that. You know, Farmington, for an example, they pay per diem people to staff their facility. They know what their fixed costs are gonna be based on that. And the only variable cost that they have is if in fact they have a big fire and everybody gets called in, and the call people will drive that compensation line up. The other issue you got with this budget is if you went through the first year of your truck maintenance, he found a lot of things that hadn't been done, and he fixed them, and it cost a lot of money. He's had some issues with the ambulance, that's costing some money. It'll be over 6 months if in fact the Board of Selectmen and Fire Department come to terms with buying a new ambulance. You won't see a new ambulance this time, I can guarantee you, based upon the information I keep seeing, unless you buy one off the lot someplace, until probably at least September, based on some of this information I've just received. We just put it out to bid.
Okay, I am
Just to
ready
give you a flavor.
to call the motion at this point, unless you have something substantially different to add. Okay. Any abstentions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed, for the reason, not that I'm against the budget, I think that it's not realistic.
So we have an approved budget for the budget committee of $221,270. There was 6 in favor, 1 opposed, and the 1 opposed was Terry Jarvis.
That's the only one?
That should be in the minutes, clearly.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, the next one would be emergency management, and that is account number 4290-20.
I might be able to help Pete cut to the chase on this one, and I've had a lot of conversations about this. Right now, he has assumed doing the emergency management director's role. Originally, the plan was, and the selectman, the president here can correct me if I'm wrong, it was going to be set up that if in fact they had gone with a part-time police chief, process, that that person was going to be hired with the understanding that they would assume that those duties and responsibilities under their salary. That did not happen. In talking with Peter, and I do agree, is to find a individual who is willing to serve as the emergency management director for the town. I understand a few years back, we had a similar situation where you had an emergency management director that wasn't, a department head in that situation. My experience has been, I've been an emergency management director, assistant director for 20 some odd years, and generally what ends up happening, those guys are firemen, policemen, and generally they end up being the guys that are actually out doing the work and not running the operations center. And really, basically handling some of the logistics and finance and coordinating those people to the table. And you're better off if you can find somebody that has that experience to do that, pay them an annual stipend, $250, that's what we established here, and say, I appreciate it. We got a training conference in here as far as one of those items to go with it. A little bit of money to pay for bottled water, which is a big item that annually that they purchase. And if in fact they need to get any of the power snack type of things for that type of process. Other than that, there's a little bit of money there for travel, for somebody to go to a school, plus there's $100 in there, because the emergency management plan, rate Pete, needs to be rewritten. And I'm hoping that with the Stratford County Planning Commission, as I mentioned earlier, to gain their assistance and work towards having them assist us in rewriting that grant. I'm not that grant, the plan, to update the plan. So that's, I don't know if there's anything else to keep going.
Well, I'll only add that I don't think that the police chief or the fire chief should be in that position. They're needed to run each one of their departments in an emergency, and they don't need the added duty of doing this because one or the other are gonna fall short. So I think it absolutely should be an individual that's not gonna be tied up with fire suppression or EMS or police protection in an emergency. So I think it really should be somebody separate and independent of any of the other departments in town. I don't think the highway department director should even be involved because he's gonna be busy.
Okay, we have account emergency management 4290. Department has requested $753. The Board of Selectmen have approved $753. Any additional discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve account number 4290, emergency management, in the amount of $753.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bickford to approve account number 4290, emergency management, $753, second by Tony Bonanno. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, building inspector, account 4240.
What do we got next week?
A lot.
This one doesn't have many moving parts in it, other than, Peter and I have had some discussions about, he has a lot of duties and responsibilities as fire chief, and is looking at stepping back from the amount of hours that he serves as a building inspector, and having somebody come in to start to fulfill that role. And the way the budget was created here was to have still a building inspector with some, about 3 hours a week of oversight, and then there was a part-time, once again, this is all part-time anyways, is a building inspector, code enforcement officer for about 16 hours per week to be able to take care of doing office hours and be actually doing the actual inspections, but the idea was to transition and have some mentoring in that situation there and help them out. The rest of it is basically phone books, mileage, understanding the mileage right now has all been paid through the fire department's use of the command vehicle, and that would change in this process.
Okay, so we have account number 4240, building inspector. Department has requested $32,070. The Board of Selectmen have approved $32,070. Any other discussions or questions from the committee?
Yeah. Do we have a deputy now?
We don't, as of yet.
Because you've transferred, it looks like most of the salary funding to the deputy.
Correct. Yeah.
This, let me explain why. In this transition period, I don't mind staying on to help with the building department to keep it on track. But we should be bringing somebody else along, if, God forbid, I should get hit by a bus or something, I'd leave the town in a lurch. Because now you gotta replace the fire chief, the emergency management director, the building inspector, the health officer, the code enforcement officer. Because you lost one individual, or I'm out sick. It's nice to have a couple of people in town trained to do the same job, so that if one happens to be sick or ill, it doesn't shut the town down. So our plan here is to bring somebody along so that we can, you'll actually have two people in town that can do this job. If one's sick or something happened to one or the other of us, the town's still got, they're off, they can maintain their.
Is there a talent pool to draw from, or?
Well, that's what we're gonna try to find out. The idea was, we've been working on the job descriptions, that way, as far as being able to do that and advertise and see what we actually get.
Alright, so it's cold call.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea, I mean, you might find somebody that was in the trades, you know, electrician, plumber, carpenter, just retired, and maybe his knees are bad, or his back's getting sore, and he would rather try to use his knowledge
Okay.
in this area.
Terry, did you have a comment?
Oh, just I was thinking if Monday night's meeting of the selectmen, wasn't the decision to go out to hire a director? Or a building inspector and not a deputy building inspector? Is looking at the 3588, that's not gonna be sufficient if you do hire a building inspector.
I,
But why wouldn't it?
yeah.
3,580,
You're gonna pay the deputy
We'd have to
more?
move the money around, I mean, it's the same type of situation, but we would hope to hire some, I mean.
Actually, in his defense, this budget was drawn up before we, thought about doing this, because, that wasn't, when we did this budget, we hadn't at that time thought that we should probably have somebody else who can cover. My fear is that if something happens, Scott has to replace a lot of positions, like on an instant's notice, and that's not fair to the town. It's my duty to make sure, and his, to make sure that you guys are covered, so however we have to do it, we're gonna do it, and I'll work, obviously I'll taper off the amount of hours I work as this guy comes online, so you're gonna see that shift.
The idea is to make actually, eventually, it may be a transition, but you keep somebody in the, like Pete's saying, they're backing up one another. They do the same duties, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not that big that, one's gonna be stepping on anybody else's territory. They work together as a team in order to make the coverage work. That situation there, Pete's hours of the fire department are, consume a fair amount of this time.
Okay.
And we run into a little bit of a,
So there might be some training
yes.
hours, that's the only thing that would double up, that's that. One takes over for the other, so it's a even trade-off.
And he has, previously, the building inspector was here on Tuesday nights, and he was here one Saturday a month. And I haven't been able to keep those hours without getting into overtime issues, so we had to drop the Tuesday nights and the Saturday mornings. So we haven't had any complaints.
On call, you all, is that?
No, there was office hours, both of those were office hours, those haven't been done. But everybody knows if they come to the fire station, they can get me.
Are you gonna be looking for a certified building inspector?
Well,
We have that in there.
we have that in, that we'd love to have somebody that had those type of credentials.
You're talking about home inspections, aren't you? Certified home inspector?
No, they're
No,
certified.
They're certified buildings.
Yeah, there's certified buildings.
The state certifies them.
Huh?
Yeah, Dave Senecal's, I think Dave up in Wolfboro.
Yeah, there's one in, I think, Nottingham too.
Okay.
I
We're
don't
kind
think
of
we
getting
specified
off
that,
here.
though.
Yep.
No, so I'm trying to get this done while you're here, and it's going on 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we have a 9 o'clock curfew, so,
You do?
yes.
Tony does.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, my wife gets ugly.
Tony,
Hit that camera.
And she's locked and loaded.
So, okay, if there isn't anything new, what is
Make a
the
motion.
desire of the budget committee?
I'll make a motion. You want a motion yet?
I'm trying to figure out what you want to do. If you motion, go.
Yeah, all right, I'll make a motion to approve account number 4240, building inspection, in the amount of $32,070.
As requested by the department.
Well, it's also requested by the Board of
And I
Selectmen.
already said all of that, so that is, yeah, okay. Do I have a second?
Sure.
All right. Mr. Bickford made a motion to approve building inspection 4240 in the amount of $32,070, which is the department's request, seconded by Dave Curry. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion passed. Okay. The final account for tonight is health officer 4411.
Ready for motion?
Well, I have to do my formal thing, okay?
that's right, no, you're doing a great job, it's clear.
Okay,
It's very clear.
thank you. 4411 health officer. The department has requested $2,355, and the Board of Selectmen have approved $2,355.
I have a question on
Right.
line 664, which is
Water testing?
water testing. According to this, nothing's been spent. What happened to the, I believe it's by twice a year water testing at the ball field?
That was it, that was actually every month. And I got us off that schedule. They weren't using that water in the capacity needed to require testing by the state. So it was a monthly test that was very expensive because we had to actually drive it to Concord. And I got with DES and we went over the use of that, and they determined that the monthly test wasn't required. Took a little bit.
Is any test required?
No, there's no test required because they don't use that water, they don't drink that water or serve that water. They serve bottled water, they sell bottled water and sodas and stuff at the, whatever they have for drinks, juices, I guess. So they didn't do it because they didn't want to compete with their own concession stand. So they had a outside spigot, it was a phosphorus that had broken and they hadn't used it. All they had to do was padlock that up and the state was sufficient with leaving the testing. Now, if you want to test it semi-annually or twice a year upon opening and closing, that's up to you. It'll be up to the Board of Selectmen, I guess, at that point.
I have put in this budget for water testing for the town buildings, which I believe is town hall, police department, fire department, and highway. And that would be basically, Pete says it's been quite some time, if he doesn't, I don't even know if you remember when they last tested it, but basically we should do baseline tests of these facilities, and if in fact, we use other type of water here, bottled water, as you've probably seen in all the budgets. But we wanna make sure that, A, we know what the water is, if we're washing, the dishes here, washing our hands, just to make sure that, we don't have some hidden, ghost with it.
Shouldn't the library fall into that too?
They use bottled water, I believe.
Yes.
That's the same rationale.
Again, they use bottled water, but you may, because what you're only looking for at that point is bacteria.
Right, and what I'm saying is that's another town building that just wasn't listed in here.
It should be included.
I think.
Library is its own
It's
entity.
its own thing,
It
but
should be
help
included
officer,
in their budget.
sure that amount of money.
Was that another 175?
$175.
Well, he's got it in there somewhere, I'm sure, the way he,
That's right.
Yeah,
You come up with it.
I found it, no.
Yeah.
Ellen, you
Well, it's not in
We'll
that
be sure to
stipend.
bill, we'll bill library.
I'm I'm sorry, Ellen.
There you go.
Ellen has the floor.
Just something I'd like to bring up for the town's consideration and the budget committee's consideration is that the Recreation Commission might sell water when they're open. But there are lots of times that that concession stand is not open. And the pump needs to be fixed and the water needs to be tested because kids practice down there, families take their kids down there to play, and there is no available water because that pump is broken now and locked up. I can't see the possibility of not having decent water for people to drink when they're on the walking path, when they're practicing for soccer games. I mean, it just doesn't make sense if there's not some water available.
And I did ask that from the teams that play there, and the teams always bring, they usually bring Gatorade with them, they don't drink just plain water because they, through reverse osmosis, I guess it takes, they need to replenish their
You should still have
electrolytes
water.
as
If
well.
it's not
as the drink.
outrageously expensive, it should get fixed,
Yeah,
and the water should be tested a
But- and
couple
we
of
did
times a
use
year.
that
It's not a
outside
tremendous amount of money, is it?
Um,
To fix that pump and to test the water a couple of times a year, so it
It's
gets
monthly.
used
month.
by people.
Every
Every
month.
single month, and it needs to be
Yeah.
driven to Concord every single
Right.
month by a
I
staff
thought you
person.
said you could do it
We
a couple of
used to do it
times a
only
year.
No, no.
He said twice
That's
a
a
year.
public-
Now they're
No,
maintaining.
twice a year for the bacterial tests for these buildings. That one there, because they'd be serving the public, there's no other drinking water available. We have, in these buildings, we have bubblers, we have bottled water. They wouldn't down there, if they were actually using that for drinking water, then it would have to be tested monthly.
We
Maybe
used
I'll
to have to
volunteer
test
to
that
drive
as
it
well,
down,
we had a
people,
bubble.
because it just doesn't seem right to have a public park like that and where teams
And
practice.
he
without
wouldn't be
having
the
any
department to fix it, so we need
Nowadays,
to bring it up to somebody
there's soda
else.
Okay, so it's only the testing that was.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There is.
So it would be Department of Public Works.
I believe
Probably rec
about
to stop
3 years
it.
ago, when we were having a lot of trouble with the water, there was some water testing done, so there should be at least bacterial results. But the town, yeah, here. Don't know where you'll find them, but I can remember that we
Okay,
haven't done.
Make a
All right.
motion
okay.
to approve account 4411, health officer, in the amount of $2,355.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Bickford for account 4411, health officer, to be approved by the budget committee for $2,355, which is the department's request, has been seconded by Terry Jarvis. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much. We are long over.
Do you
And it
wanna
has
put
been
the
a long
forestry
time.
off till Dave can come in? or-
Yeah,
Okay.
for some, yeah, we won't have time to do
Seven.
it, so. Our next meeting is, December 7th. We need to add,
I still have it posted at 7 PM. I did not change it to 6:30 because I couldn't recall if everybody had their calendars and if they agreed to it, so.
well, we had only talked 6:30 for this one meeting. I hadn't done it as a blanket. It is something we can ask. Would people be able
I
to
can do
start
6:30.
6:30? Do you want to do that
Sure.
on the 7th?
Get out
Yeah,
at 8:30.
Is that,
And you get Tony.
Yeah, get out of here at 8:30 then.
and will the forestry be on at 10?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a note here for Dave. What's the?
Donations you make.
12/7 at 6:30.
You let them know.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this to him,
Okay.
so he has a copy of this.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.